Stop hiding. Submit to me. The pain will end soon.
Look up. I'm right in front of you.
Those aren't walls! A nascent soul?!
A shattered soul daring to challenge a deity?
Impossible! You hid your true power! You played me!
How foolish.
Curse you!
I just wanted to give you a moment of joy.
But I won't die today! My puppet will tear you! Wait! What is that light?
I told you, my secrets are many.
The reason she can no longer break through to the nascent soul realm is that for one who has failed once, ascending to the nascent soul realm again is nigh impossible. This single strand of heart, calming lotus silk, brought her a glimmer of hope. Though it might not purge all the baleful aura, any hope is a treasure indeed. The elder nodded and swept his fly, whisk, the spirit vessel transformed into a bolt of thunderous light, vanishing toward the west. Consort Yunxia was overjoyed, a long, absent smile gracing her features, until Fang Chen mercilessly doused her spirits. Still smiling, they have already headed toward the ancient capital of 9 dynasties. Consort Yunxia's expression shifted instantly. How dire, golden, clawed iron wolf, hasten your pace. If we arrive late, there shall be nothing left for us. Meanwhile, upon the spirit vessel, a young girl pouted with discontent. Master, why show such courtesy to that woman? She is but a mere female of the Yao race. The elder spoke dispassionately. She bears the aura of a Yao emperor. If I mistake not, she is the consort of the ruler of the local Yao race, the firmament Yao emperor. The girl scoffed. We hail from the Myriad Tribulations Holy Hall, and your strength is no less than that of this Yao emperor, master. Could you possibly fear him? She glanced at her master's fly, whisk. Those silken threads were something he usually wouldn't even bestow upon his own disciples, yet he had simply gifted them to that woman. The elder spoke with grave sincerity. Even a mighty dragon does not suppress a local snake. For the firmament Yao emperor to unite the Yao race, he must possess true capability. Why provoke him? Without cause, when traveling the world, one can never go wrong with more caution and less recklessness. Lu Liang remained entranced by Consort Yunxia's peerless, celestial beauty and exquisite figure. His eyes darted about as he asked, Master, once we recover the remains of Master Liu Dao, might we tarry here for a few days more? The elder's face darkened slightly. Master Liu Dao might not be dead. Years ago, when he and the local tiger Yao Emperor explored the secret realm of the ancient capital of 9 dynasties, one vanished while the other met a sudden violent end. The tiger Yao Emperor is truly dead, but as for him, knowing his ways, he always keeps a hidden hand. He would not fall so easily. Lu Liang's heart shuddered, a hint of worry surfacing on his face. If he still lives, can you contend with him, master? After all, he is the renowned Master Liu Dao. The number of nascent soul realm experts who have perished at his hands exceeds 10. The elder glanced at him sideways. Thus, you must remain on high alert. Cease filling your mind with thoughts of women. Scolded, Lu Liang realized his master had seen right through his petty schemes. The elder's tone softened as he continued, Perform your duties well. If we can recover the item Master Liu Dao stole back then, I shall personally negotiate with the firmament Yao Emperor to claim that woman for you. Lu Liang was overjoyed at the thought of conquering that exquisite, celestial woman of the Yao race. His eyes burned with heat, and his heart itched with unbearable anticipation. Several days later, at the westernmost reaches of the Yao territory, this was no longer a world of boundless white snow, but a black land as muddy as a swamp. Dark clouds blotted out the heavens, shielding the ground from the sun year-round. A rat with sodden fur was scavenging for food in the muck when a patterned venomous serpent lunged from the mud, sinking its fangs into the rodent and coiling tightly around it. The two struggled violently within the mire. Crack at that moment, a massive wolf claw stomped down ruthlessly, crushing both serpent and rat into a pulp of flesh and bone. Is this the ancient capital of 9 dynasties? Standing atop the golden, clawed iron wolf, Fang Chen gazed upon the endless ruins stretching across the black earth, his heart filled with profound shock. Within a radius of dozens of miles, as far as the eye could see, there were nothing but dense thickets of broken walls, collapsed stone beams, swaying ruins and stone gates half buried in the mud. One could faintly perceive the echoes of 1,000 lanterns and a once prosperous era. Alas, a millennium later, only shattered tiles and a landscape of devastation remained. Consort Yunxia sighed softly. Our Yao race once knew great glory. Only powerful Yao who had attained or neared human form would reside in such dwellings. One can imagine how flourishing our race was back then. Regrettably, those days have passed, and all has dissolved into a sigh of history. Her gaze sharpened. The West Bell Temple is there. Fang Chen followed her look, and indeed saw the ruins of a dilapidated temple atop a towering mountain. His heart tightened. Those from the Myriad Tribulations Holy Hall must have arrived at least 2 days ahead of us. I hope we are not too late. His words sparked tension in Consort Yunxia as well, and they all hurried toward the temple ruins. The ground at the site of the former Great Hero Hall had collapsed, revealing a gargantuan pit with a dust-covered stairway leading to the depths. 3 sets of faint footprints marked the stairs. Clearly, those 3 had already entered. We are late after all, Fang Chen frowned. The evil spirit chuckled darkly. Even I am not anxious, so why are you? The evil spirit should have been more concerned than Fang Chen about others snatching the prize, yet he hadn't urged him once along the way. Could it be that this was not the path to the secret realm? This path does lead to the secret realm, but it is filled with formidable restrictions and traps. Back then, it took the Tiger Yao Emperor and me immense effort to clear it. That old Taoist won't be able to break through in just a few days. The evil spirit sneered. Fang Chen realized there was indeed a hidden secret. Where is the other path? The evil spirit recalled. Do you see a great Buddha statue facing east with half its head missing? Fang Chen scanned the surroundings and indeed discovered such a statue. Without making a scene, he raised the dragon, binding lock on his body toward Consort Yunxia. How long do you intend to keep me bound? You can't expect me to descend like this, can you? Consort Yunxia, her eyes full of worry as she gazed into the depths, nodded slightly. She led Fang Chen by the chain to a stone pillar jutting from the ground and secured the other end of the lock firmly to it. What is the meaning of this? Do you take me for a beast of burden, tethering me here? Fang Chen was momentarily stunned. Consort Yunxia let out a soft laugh and shot him a playful glare. Who said I was taking you down with me? Stay here quietly and wait for my return. She then hurriedly entered the underground passage with Chun Nai. Left alone and tied to the pillar, Fang Chen cursed her under his breath. That wretched woman. He felt both amused and exasperated. She has 100 schemes running at once. The evil spirit frowned deeply. Boy, aren't you in trouble then? Even a nascent soul realm cultivator cannot break these chains, even if you could shatter the stone pillar. He could move, but with his limbs bound, he couldn't possibly enter the secret realm. There were dangers within. Restricted movement was as good as losing half his life before he even began. Fang Chen gave a mysterious smile and reached into his hair crown. To his companion's surprise, he produced another key, inserted it into the lock, and with a twist, the chains fell away. The evil spirit's eyes went wide. Wait, did that woman not take the key from you? Fang Chen stowed the chains within his heavenly thunderstone and stretched his limbs, which had grown numb from the binding. He replied nonchalantly, I did give it to her, but I never gave her the real key. The evil spirit was stunned. Then, what key did you give her? The key to my cave, dwelling at the Azure Clouds sect. Fang Chen shrugged. She never got a close look at the key to the dragon. Binding lock anyway, giving her my house key, she wouldn't know the difference. Long before he was bound, with a mere thought, Fang Chen had tucked both the key to the dragon, binding lock, and the key to his cave dwelling into his hair. Having obtained a fake key, Consort Yunxia's vigilance dropped significantly, and she neglected to further inspect Fang Chen's hair. She had no inkling that the true key had remained in Fang Chen's possession the entire time. The evil spirit was speechless. Boy, you are far too devious to think you could play her like this. Even as a former great cultivator of the nascent soul realm, he was left utterly stunned by Fang Chen's display of cunning. To say Consort Yunxia had 100 schemes was an understatement. Fang Chen himself possessed 800. Very well, it is time for us to depart as well. He arrived before the east, facing Great Buddha, whose head was half missing. This was the only Buddha statue still standing within the temple. After circling the Buddha statue once, he suddenly noticed the 2 words Benevolent Buddha carved into its base, bringing to mind the very same words mentioned earlier. It seemed the evil spirit had not deceived him. This place was indeed the true passageway into the secret realm. After a brief moment of contemplation, he exerted his strength and attempted to push the massive Buddha statue. Rumble as the Buddha statue shifted, a human, width opening hidden beneath its base, revealed itself. Brat, go inside quickly, many treasures await our taking, the evil spirit urged with fervent excitement. Fang Chen was in no rush to act. Instead, he placed a copper coin in his mouth, hung a jade, bone necklace around his neck, donned a turtle, breath cloak, and grasped Heavenly Mountain's silken threads in his hand. Only after making ample preparations did he cautiously descend. The evil spirit rolled its eyes. Is there truly a need to be so cautious? Would this old master actually harm you? Fang Chen merely chuckled, entirely focused as he drilled his way down the narrow passageway. It was unknown how this passage was excavated. It was perfectly circular, exceedingly smooth, and unfathomably deep. Fang Chen climbed downward for a full cup of tea's time, estimating that he had already reached the very bottom of the mountain's belly. A glimmer of light caught his eye. Focusing his gaze, he saw a colossal hollow cavern below, excavated into a massive subterranean cave dwelling. There were pavilions and terraces, artificial mountains, and flowing water. Luminous pearls encrusted on the cavern walls shined brilliantly like a starry sky, while various spirit-gathering arrays flickered brightly and dimly upon the ground. The moment his feet touched the ground, ripples of white mist splashed outward. Astonishingly, it was entirely atomized spiritual energy. A single day of cultivation here would surpass a month in the outside world. This is practically a heavenly paradise, Fang Chen marveled inwardly. Setting aside everything else, even if he found nothing, just undertaking cultivation here for 2 days would cause his cultivation base to surge explosively. Moreover, this place by no means looked like somewhere he would return from empty-handed. Inner halls were carved into all 4 sides of the stone walls. One of these great halls was tightly shut, while the doors of the other 3 lay wide open, faintly revealing a mess inside, evidently having been ransacked. Fang Chen's eyes flashed as he approached the tightly sealed stone hall. The heavy doors bore marks of violent bombardment, yet they remained unbreached. He dared not act rashly. Those who had come here before were all in the nascent soul realm, or perhaps even existences approaching the soul formation realm. If they had failed to open it, it was evident that something formidable on these doors had repelled their attacks. Peering through a narrow crack where a corner of the door was broken, Fang Chen looked inside and discovered that this appeared to be a meditation room. The room was blanketed in dust, and the futon meant for seated meditation had long decayed into ash and smoke. The jewel-encrusted kasaya had also rotted away, leaving behind only a few golden threads and scraps of cloth. Even the stone bed used for resting was shrouded in a foot of thick dust. Miraculously, a string of golden Buddhist prayer beads hung upon the wall. Emitting a faint golden glow, it automatically repelled any dust that dared to settle upon it, remaining as pristine as brand new. Furthermore, even through this restriction, warded door, he could feel the intense, overwhelming pressure these beads exerted upon the soul. "What is this item? Why did you not take it away back then?" Fang Chen asked, his gaze burning with fervent heat. This string of prayer beads was absolutely no mortal object. The evil spirit fell silent for a moment, seemingly reluctant to speak, weighing its thoughts. Only then did it tell the truth. Those are the soul, suppressing Buddhist beads. They possess the efficacy to suppress vengeful spirits and bind evil souls. It is a spiritual artifact, a supreme-grade spiritual artifact at that, quite similar in caliber to the 5 magnetism Genesis mountain in your hands. What a supreme-grade spiritual artifact! Fang Chen drew a sharp breath of cold air, and it is used for soul suppression. His eyes darted slightly, and he spoke with a half-smile. "No wonder you were unwilling to speak of it. It turns out this item specifically counters you." The evil spirit scoffed, "Not just me. It can counter any and all soul entities. Enough, banish any thoughts of obtaining these beads. This hall is the most difficult to breach among the 4. Back then, even when the Tiger Demon Emperor and I joined forces, we could not break the restriction upon it. Perhaps only someone in the soul formation realm stands a chance." It was precisely because of this that it eventually disclosed the truth. After all, with Fang Chen's meager abilities, he could never shatter the restriction. Fang Chen revealed a look of deep regret, stating, "If even 2 mighty figures such as yourselves were utterly helpless when joining forces, it is no wonder the successive wave of latecomers could do nothing against this door." Carrying a hint of unwillingness, he said, "Never mind. Before they arrive, let us hurry and inspect the other 3 halls." Saying so, he immediately headed toward the remaining halls. The evil spirit secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If Fang Chen were to obtain this item, for it, the sky would truly fall. Yet it failed to notice that although Fang Chen had walked away, the robes at his chest shifted slightly, and a furry little beast was silently left behind near the great hall. Waiting until they were far away, the little beast crawled out from the shadows. With sleepy, hazy eyes, it sized up the grand doors before nonchalantly plunging straight into the hall. Let alone the stone doors, even the mighty restrictions posed absolutely no hindrance to it. Within the western hall, the interior was a total disaster. Shattered remnants were scattered all over the ground, fragments of jade slips engraved with text, torn pages of books, scraps of clothing, and so forth. There were several smaller chambers within the hall, all much the same. I say, if you deem something useless, just leave it be. Why ruin it so recklessly? Fang Chen picked up a shattered fragment of a jade slip. It was inscribed with Buddhist scriptures, likely a Buddhist cultivation method, yet it had been destroyed just like that. The evil spirit voiced its dissatisfaction. You misunderstand. Do not just pin every foul deed on my head. The Tiger Demon Emperor and I only took the best items back then, and left the rest untouched. It must be that many people came later and ransacked the place into this state. It gazed at a wall that had been chiseled away until it resembled a flatbread gnawed by dogs, missing chunks from the east and fractured in the west. Upon this wall once resided a grand mural, its pigments infused with the exceedingly rare Zhengjin stone powder. Yet it was discovered and meticulously plundered by those who came before. The fiend spirit shook his head, lamenting these uncouth dolts to so profane a divine treasure. That mural was no less than a sacred Buddhist, Taoist diagram. For one who has once failed their heavenly tribulation, like concubine Yunxia, prolonged cultivation before it could significantly weaken their corrupting karmic aura, its efficacy no less than that. Venerable Taoist's tranquility, lotus seeds. Fang Chen's expression darkened. This place had been scoured far more thoroughly than he had imagined, and most of those who had come were mighty experts of the nascent soul realm. Their discerning eyes were exceedingly sharp. It was nigh impossible for them to have overlooked any vestige. At that very moment, a subtle weight settled in his embrace, and Fang Chen knew the little Qilin had returned, a sense of profound reassurance instantly settling in his heart. With a supreme, great magical artifact now in his possession, this expedition had already yielded a worthy return. Even if he were to discover nothing more, it would be no loss, and any further discoveries would be a pure boon. Moreover, the little Qilin possessed an innate spiritual perception for heavenly spiritual treasures. Perchance it could yet uncover hidden marvels that eluded all previous seekers. The little Qilin discern if any treasures lie hidden within this grand hall. The little Qilin poked out its small head, surveying its surroundings. It was about to shake its head in negation, when suddenly a faint sensation stirred within it. It craned its neck, gazing towards the apex of the stone hall. For illumination, the ceiling was inlaid with luminescent pearls identical to those outside. While such items might be rare treasures to mere mortals, to cultivators, especially those of advanced realms, they held no intrinsic worth, thus drawing no attention. The little Qilin fixed its gaze upon one seemingly ordinary luminescent pearl and declared, "Retrieve that particular orb. I sense that it differs subtly from the other luminescent pearls." "Is that so?" Fang Chen followed its gaze, scrutinizing the pearl. To his eyes, its outward appearance bore no distinction, and even the faint luminescence it cast was identical to that of the surrounding luminescent pearls. Yet, trusting in the little Qilin's keen discernment, he sprang upwards with a mighty leap. With a swift clasp of his 5 fingers, he forcibly wrenched it from its stony embedment. There, before his eyes, lay a luminescent pearl the size of a human eye, radiating a soft moon-like glow. "What purpose do you have for this bauble?" the fiend spirit inquired, puzzled. But then a realization dawned upon him. He uttered a soft exclamation. "Wait, remove its outer layer and observe." Fang Chen nodded subtly. With a gentle exertion of force, his index finger wiped away a layer of white powder from the luminescent pearl's surface, revealing a faint glimmer of transparent, crystalline hue. Once the outer facade was completely peeled away, an exquisitely clear crystal orb, unmistakably not a mere luminescent pearl, lay quietly in Fang Chen's palm. "Indeed, I knew something felt amiss," the fiend spirit exclaimed, clicking his tongue in wonder. "This is a silent meditation bead, a Buddhist artifact condensed by an enlightened eminent monk, who cultivated the profound silent meditation, using their immense Dharma power." Fang Chen was quite unfamiliar with Buddhist, Taoist cultivation methods, for no such lineage had ever manifested in the 9 sect lands. He promptly inquired, "What, then, is this silent meditation?" The fiend spirit chuckled. "Place this bead within your embrace, then merely formulate the words you wish to speak to me within your mind." Fang Chen complied. As the silent meditation bead settled into his embrace, he faced the fiend spirit and thought to himself, "Can this old fellow's words truly be trusted?" No sooner had he finished the thought than the fiend spirit's exasperated chuckle resonated within Fang Chen's mind. "Trustworthy, exceedingly trustworthy, I assure you." By the heavens, Fang Chen inwardly gasped. "He can hear my very thoughts, and even transmit his voice directly into my mind." Startled, Fang Chen swiftly withdrew the silent meditation bead. The fiend spirit, with a darkened expression, chided, "You young rascal, can you not speak a single good word for this old one?" Fang Chen instantly grasped the profound meaning of silent meditation. Without uttering a single word, one could transmit their thoughts directly into another's mind, and the recipient could reciprocate, allowing complete discourse without the need for spoken language. Employed at opportune moments, it would undoubtedly yield miraculous efficacy, making it a truly rare and invaluable treasure. He thus accepted it with a contented smile. Let us proceed to the next grand hall. The eastern hall, too, had been meticulously scoured clean, not a single speck of dust remaining. Even the little Killen shook its head in despair at the sight, prompting Fang Chen to decisively move to the last remaining hall, that of the south. After a fleeting glance, the fiend spirit spoke. "It appears this one has also been thoroughly plundered. Let us abandon this endeavor and seek out the nascent soul corpse I mentioned." For some inexplicable reason, he, who had previously shown no urgency, now suddenly seemed quite eager. Fang Chen narrowed his eyes, secretly transmitting a message to the little Killen. "That old fellow is urging me to depart. There's no telling if he's concealed some significant treasure within this place." The little Killen immediately circulated its spiritual energy, scanning its surroundings. Yet, after its thorough examination, it frowned and declared, "There is truly nothing exceptional, only mundane objects abound." "Is that truly so?" Fang Chen frowned, finding it difficult to believe that nothing of value remained. If the fiend spirit had not urged him to leave, and the little Killen had declared it barren, he would have accepted it. But the fiend spirit's apparent reluctance for him to linger here betrayed a clear sign that something was being hidden. Fang Chen surveyed the grand hall for a moment. Then, after a brief period of contemplation, he raised his palm and pressed it upon the very earth. "Young one, what sorcery are you performing?" The fiend spirit's gaze flickered with apprehension. Fang Chen ignored him, uttering a soft cry, void, flowing thunder force. Zzz, innumerable arcs of lightning surged forth from his palm, swiftly traversing to every corner of the grand hall. Through every brick and every inch of wall, the void, flowing thunder force surged and coursed. With but a single glance, the entire grand hall shimmered and blazed with electric light, an exceptionally dazzling spectacle. Yet one location stood apart, a solitary corner of the grand hall. While lightning arcs crackled across all other surfaces, this particular stone wall remained entirely untouched by the thunderous essence. And the form this stone wall presented was precisely that of a concealed door. The little Killen's eyes widened. With a hint of guilt, it declared, "Master, I truly discerned no difference in this place." Fang Chen transmitted, "It is not your fault. Someone performed a profound manipulation here, shielding it from spiritual perception." He withdrew the void, flowing thunder force, and approached this invisible portal. Out of caution, he deposited a cloudburst iron pellet, gifted by Aoyongjun, preparing to blast it open. This startled the fiend spirit. "No, no, no, stop. The contents within are exceedingly fragile. They cannot withstand such destructive force." Fang Chen shot him a sideways glance and exclaimed, "So, you've been inside already. No wonder you were so eager for me to abandon this grand hall." Seeing his machinations laid bare, the fiend spirit could no longer conceal the truth. With a hint of exasperation, he blurted out, "What does it matter if I concealed it? You accursed scoundrel discovered it anyway, did you not? I had intended to claim it after my resurrection through possession, but now you have reaped the damned benefits. If you have any semblance of a conscience, leave one bod, high seed for me." "Bod, high seed?" Fang Chen's expression turned solemn as he asked, "What lies within?" The evil spirit spoke with great reluctance. "A bodhi tree. When I first arrived, it was merely in bloom and had not yet borne fruit, so neither I nor the tiger demon emperor laid a finger on it. The bodhi tree flowers once every 50 years and bears fruit once every 50 years. By my calculations, it should be just about time for its harvest." Fang Chen fell into deep thought. The bodhi tree, if I recall correctly, it is the tree of wisdom in Buddhism. It is said that meditating and comprehending the Tao beneath its branches yields extraordinary insights. The evil spirit nodded. "Indeed, the bodhi tree possesses such divine efficacy for those of the Buddhist path. It is a sacred tree they covet even in their dreams. However, this tree is exceedingly difficult to cultivate. Among the outworld divine sects, even the White Horse Temple, known as the Lesser Western Heaven, does not possess a bodhi tree." Fang Chen felt little interest. With the primordial void divine tree to cleanse his soul, his innate comprehension far surpassed that of ordinary men. He had no need for a bodhi tree. Furthermore, it was only useful for comprehending the Buddhist Tao, yet, since he had encountered it, there was no reason to leave it behind. He immediately pushed open the door with caution, and as expected, a small courtyard bathed in sunlight revealed itself within. It was unknown what heaven-defying spell had been cast upon this courtyard to draw the sunlight from the outside world across a whole mountain. Bathed in the sun's radiance, a tree 30 feet tall with branches and leaves forming a majestic canopy shimmered silently with divine Buddhist light. Golden orbs the size of a thumb flickered in and out of sight amidst the leaves. They were few in number, roughly 10 in all. The evil spirit cried out in excitement, "Hey, hey, don't hog it all for yourself. You must leave one for this old man. This item can enhance one's comprehension." "Very well," Fang Chen replied, but as he prepared to step forward, his pupils constricted slightly. He discovered that beneath the bodhi tree sat the corpse of a monk, clad in a kesaya, sitting cross-legged with palms pressed together. Across his knees lay a shimmering golden Zen staff, and beside him sat a golden alms bowl. Even his body glowed with a golden hue, making him resemble a small golden statue. "What is that?" Fang Chen exclaimed in surprise. The evil spirit showed a look of envy. That should be the master of this secret realm. To be able to meditate on the Tao and enter parinirvana beneath a bodhi tree is a fortunate end indeed. Since his skin has turned golden, it is clear he achieved the Vajra attainment. He was an eminent monk of the Tao. Fang Chen nodded deeply. Even from a distance, he could feel the surging and boundless power of the Buddhist Tao emanating from the remains. He immediately pressed his palms together and bowed. "Master, forgive the intrusion." He stepped forward and plucked every bodhi seed, then studied the bodhi tree itself. Since he had found it, he naturally intended to take it with him. Glancing at the relic body of the eminent monk beneath the tree, he swept both the man and the tree into his heavenly thunderstone. The evil spirit was perplexed. Why take that bold donkey's corpse? Fang Chen replied calmly, "Let him slumber eternally with his bodhi tree." Afterward, Fang Chen examined the Zen staff and the alms bowl. Noticing their extraordinary quality, his heart stirred. Could these be spirit tools? The evil spirit nodded. An eminent monk of the Vajra attainment is equivalent to a human's nascent soul realm or a demon's demon emperor. The Buddhist tools he carried would naturally be at the level of spirit tools. The kasaya on his body is of an even higher grade, a middle-grade spirit tool. Fang Chen gasped. 2 low-grade spirit tools and 1 middle-grade spirit tool. He had struck a massive fortune. However, Fang Chen soon sensed something was amiss. Why didn't you and the Tiger Demon Emperor take them back then? Surely you two aren't gentlemen who leave lost treasures untouched. The evil spirit chuckled. I was waiting for you to be overcome with joy before drenching you in cold water. You realized it too quickly. How dull. Items of the Buddhist path can only be driven by the power of the Buddhist Tao. To an outsider, they are no different from scrap metal. Of course, if there is still Buddhist power remaining within the tools, one might barely manage to activate them once or twice. Once that power is spent, they return to being useless iron. Fang Chen frowned. If you can't use them, you could sell them to those of the Buddhist path. They should covet them greatly. No. Sell, the evil spirit smiled wryly. Followers of the Buddha do not engage in trade. They only seek alms. Do you understand? Alms seeking. Fang Chen was bewildered. If I refuse to give, can they forcibly take them as alms? The evil spirit scoffed. Forcible alms. Seeking would be the best-case scenario. Those bald donkeys from the White Horse Temple are even more ruthless. They won't just take your alms, they will enlighten you directly. From then on, you will take refuge in the Buddhist sect and belong to them forever. Fang Chen was shocked. The Buddhist practitioners of the outworld divine sects were actually so domineering. In short, take this as a warning. Do not touch Buddhist items if you can help it. Even if you have them, keep them hidden away. Never let them find out. Neither I nor the Tiger Demon Emperor dared to touch these things. Weigh the risks for yourself. Fang Chen suddenly felt the items in his hands were troublesome. He couldn't use them and he couldn't sell them. No wonder no one wanted them. Just as he was contemplating his choice, a sudden thunderous roar echoed from afar. The evil spirit was startled. Good heavens, that ox-nosed old Taoist has some skill. He's already breached the final layer of the restriction. Brat, we must hurry to the nascent soul corpse. We cannot let them beat us to it. Fang Chen had no time for further thought, and casually tossed the Buddhist tools into the heavenly thunderstone. Under the evil spirit's guidance, he arrived at the corner where the south and north palaces met. There lay an entrance leading even deeper. Gusts of yin wind blew from within, causing even Fang Chen to shiver involuntarily. Where does this lead? Fang Chen retreated warily. This place looks incredibly sinister. The evil spirit said, the path to the inner realm, but do not worry, we will stop halfway. The nascent soul corpse and the spatial storage device I mentioned are along the way. Once I complete my possession and you obtain the spatial storage device, we leave immediately. We shall go no further. Fang Chen's mind raced. He discreetly touched the soul, suppressing Buddhist beads in his robe, and nodded. You had better not be lying to me. With those parting words, he stepped with measured stride into the cavern's maw, where a chilling, ghastly wind wailed incessantly. Simultaneously, at the summit within the mountain's heart, the Taoist robes of perfected Blue Crane were drenched, sweat purling through his hair, while his pale, aged face was bathed in a deluge of perspiration. In his hands, he gripped 10 array flags of immense power. Gazing at the final restriction beneath his feet, he spoke amidst heavy gasps. To think that even after borrowing the Holy Temple's spiritual artifact for breaking arrays, it would still be this arduous. Could this secret realm within the mountain's heart be a grotto, heaven left by one in the soul formation realm? To think it is protected by so many formidable restrictions. The young girl supported perfected Blue Crane, saying softly, Master, pray take a moment to rest. The exhaustion from these successive days of exertion is simply too great. Perfected Blue Crane nodded, then turned his gaze toward Consort Yunxia and Cunning, who had followed closely behind. You too, if you wish to claim a portion of the treasures, you cannot merely follow in our wake. His words carried a sharp implication. He could not possibly be expected to risk life and limb to clear the path ahead, while Consort Yunxia and Cunning reaped the benefits from behind. This tolerance was only because Consort Yunxia was one of the Demon Emperor's subordinates. Had it been anyone else who dared to contest for treasures in this manner, he would have long since struck them down with a single sweep of his fly whisk. Lu Liang gazed upon the exquisite visage of Consort Yunxia, his heart burning with fervor as he pleaded, Master, pray do not make things difficult for Consort Yunxia. Turning to her with an air of gallantry, he said, Yunxia, fret not. Even if Master does not grant you a share, I shall give you a portion of whatever I obtain. Consort Yunxia's brow furrowed in annoyance. Yunxia, is that a name you are worthy of uttering? Even Fang Chen did not have the gall to address me so familiarly. What does this disciple of the Myriad Tribulations Holy Temple think he is? There is no need. Perfected Blue Crane is correct. Since we are exploring this secret realm together, it is only natural to contribute our own strength. After a moment's thought, Consort Yunxia reached into her robes and retrieved an object. Perfected Blue Crane, who had intended to pressure her, saw this and his expression shifted instantly. He shielded his 2 disciples behind him and demanded, Consort Yunxia, what is the meaning of this? What Consort Yunxia held was none other than Fang Chen's nascent soul jade talisman. Perfected Blue Crane naturally did not fear a single nascent soul jade talisman, but in such narrow confines, should its power erupt, he could ensure his own safety, yet his 2 disciples would find it nearly impossible to survive. However, Consort Yunxia was not so foolish. If she were to kill his disciples, would Perfected Blue Crane not surely retaliate by ending her life? My apologies, I seem to have retrieved the wrong item. Consort Yunxia tucked it away once more. She had not truly made a mistake. She had displayed it intentionally as a warning, making them realize she was not a soft persimmon to be toyed with at will. If truly pushed to desperation, though she could do nothing to Perfected Blue Crane, she could certainly take 1 or 2 of his disciples to the grave with her. Lu Liang and the young girl were visibly shaken by the jade talisman, especially the girl, whose face betrayed a hint of lingering fear. She had actually snatched the blood bod high from this woman earlier. It was fortunate that her master had stepped in to settle the matter. Had the woman unleashed that nascent soul jade talisman, even with her master's protection, the girl would have suffered a dire fate. It was just as her master had said. When wandering the world, one should strive to avoid unnecessary trouble. Who could have anticipated that a random demon woman encountered by chance would hold such a weapon of devastating power? The fiery intensity in Lu Liang's gaze toward Consort Yunxia cooled instantly, and he no longer dared to eye her with such wanton boldness. Perfected Blue Crane spoke. Consort Yunxia, such dangerous items should not be brought out so carelessly, lest they cause unnecessary misunderstandings. Consort Yunxia felt a surge of secret triumph. Let us see if you dare underestimate this consort again. Do you understand fear now? Speaking of which, that little scoundrel's belongings were truly efficacious. She thought she really ought to keep his heavenly thunderstone for herself. If she searched more thoroughly, there were bound to be other treasures. My apologies, this junior shall be more mindful in the future. I shall now begin to break the array. Perfected Blue Crane, pray be watchful. She beckoned to Cunning, who stamped her foot. At the signal, a towering ancient tree emerged from the stone, its thick, gnarled roots clutching a 5-colored miniature mountain no larger than a palm. Consort Yunxia lifted it with visible effort and approached the formation. Perfected Blue Crane shook his head slightly, thinking to himself, does this woman truly intend to smash the array open with a rock? What child's play? Even my array, breaking spiritual artifact, could not move it. A mere stone, boom, as Consort Yunxia released her grip, the 5-colored peak crashed down with thunderous force. Crack, the final restriction, which had remained unshaken despite the relentless assaults of the spiritual artifact, was actually struck with a jagged fissure. Lu Liang and the young girl stood with mouths agape, their faces filled with absolute shock as they stared at the stone. Perfected Blue Crane was also mildly startled, his gaze turning serious as he observed the artifact. Consort Yunxia, what manner of treasure is this miniature mountain? Seeing even the nascent soul level, Perfected Blue Crane, shocked by her strike, Consort Yunxia's face beamed with pride, a great sense of accomplishment filling her heart. She sighed deeply once more. Fang Chen's treasures were simply too extraordinary. She was beginning to find herself unable to part with his belongings. It is but a crude and clumsy method. I have invited the laughter of Perfected Blue Crane. After a humble remark, Consort Yunxia, now brimming with vigor, hoisted the 5-magnet elemental mountain and smashed it down once more with savage intensity. Once, twice, thrice, after 30 full strikes, the shattered restriction could no longer withstand the crushing weight of the final blow and exploded into fragments with a thunderous bang. The group descended together into the inner realm. Beholding the 4 great halls situated at the cardinal directions, the 4 shared a silent understanding, their eyes instantly burning with a fiery greed. Each chose a hall to search. Consort Yunxia, filled with high spirits, chose the south hall. She said, Chani, this is the secret realm the Tiger Demon Emperor explored before his passing. It surely contains grand treasures. Outsiders only knew that the Tiger Demon Emperor had died suddenly, yet they were unaware that he had been gravely wounded within this very secret realm and succumbed to his injuries after his return. A secret realm that the Tiger Demon Emperor held in such high regard undoubtedly concealed magnificent treasures, perhaps even the hope she needed to break through once more into the nascent soul realm. Once she herself became a demon emperor, she could lead the Spirit Fox tribe to completely cast off the shackles of the Sky Demon Emperor's control. Yet upon setting foot inside, she was left utterly dumbfounded. The ground was strewn with debris, a chaotic mess weathered by the years, proving that another had tread this path long ago. The situation in the other 3 halls was much the same. After scouring the area for a full half-hour, the party reconvened. Aside from Lu Liang, who had scavenged a discarded, fragmented Buddhist scripture, the rest returned empty-handed. Lu Liang spat in exasperation. This domain has already been ransacked countless times. Not a single speck of value remains. The young maiden stomped her foot in vexation. To think I wasted my excitement. This place was plundered clean many years ago. However, Exalted King merely narrowed his eyes and unfurled his palm, revealing a faint dusting of crushed luminous pearl powder. Not necessarily many years ago, he murmured. If my deductions are correct, someone was traversing this very ground but moments ago, and they have claimed a fortuitous encounter. Someone is here. The young maiden recalled thoughtfully, now that you mention it, I noticed an imprint left by a string of Buddhist prayer beads on the grand hall's wall. It appeared as though they were freshly plucked from their resting place, though I dared not be certain. Imperial Consort Yunxia's countenance also shifted into an uncanny display. I discovered a concealed threshold within the southern hall leading to a garden. It seems a divine tree was freshly uprooted, leaving nothing behind but a scattering of leaves. She produced a resplendent golden leaf. With but a single glance, Exalted King's expression contorted in profound shock. A leaf of the bodhi tree, then what was taken must surely be the bodhi tree itself, the legendary divine tree that the White Horse Temple has sought for eons. Heavens above, to think this very realm harbored a divine tree of the Buddhist Tao. Who could it be? Who possessed the audacity to uproot such a treasure? The gathered cultivators exchanged bewildered glances. In unison, their gazes snapped toward Imperial Consort Yunxia. The young maiden voiced her suspicion. Could it be that your subordinates arrived a step ahead of us, plundering these myriad treasures for themselves? Judging from their shared accounts, the precious treasures spirited away by this phantom interloper were by no means few in number. They had painstakingly shattered the grand array, expending their blood and sweat, only for someone to bypass the trial and snatch the greatest spoils right from under their noses. It was an absolute mockery. Exalted King likewise locked his gaze upon Imperial Consort Yunxia, an ominous, hostile glint flickering within his eyes. Ordinary treasures he could overlook. But to spirit away the bodhi tree right from beneath his watchful gaze, they were courting death. Imperial Consort Yunxia let out a cold, exasperated laugh. If I possessed knowledge of a hidden passage, why would I dawdle behind you lot? Would it not have been simpler to take the short cut myself? Why subject myself to your baseless suspicions? That reasoning did hold merit. Yet, who else could possibly be wandering these forgotten halls? Lu Liang pondered deeply. Abruptly, he questioned Yunxia. What of that human youth who was by your side? Could he have seized the initiative and arrived before us? Imperial Consort Yunxia's heart jolted within her chest. She found it utterly unfathomable. He had been securely bound by the dragon, binding shackles, and she alone held the key. No matter how heaven, defying one's abilities, breaking free from such a divine restraint was impossible. Yet, if that person was Fang Chen, she dared not be entirely certain. The sheer number of unpredictable tricks at that little bastard's disposal left her scalp tingling with apprehension. Even with the key to the dragon, binding shackles clutched in her grasp, she could not definitively guarantee that the scoundrel had not slipped his bonds. At this thought, a wave of bitter regret washed over her for not keeping Fang Chen under her absolute surveillance. Nevertheless, faced with Lu Liang's probing, she naturally refused to concede the possibility. She answered without a shred of hesitation, impossible. He remained shackled at the mountain's peak by the dragon, binding shackles, completely immobilized. Furthermore, this is his first time stepping into this domain, and it was I who allowed him a glimpse of the map. There is no reality where he could unearth a hidden path that eluded me. Indeed, it seemed highly improbable that a mere youth could achieve such a feat. Exalted King's countenance darkened as he let out a cold snort. No matter who it is, none shall dare to lay a finger upon the treasures rightfully belonging to this exalted one. Once we swiftly locate the remains of exalted Six Paths, we shall commence the hunt for this thief. Even if I must turn the entire realms of the human and demon races upside down, I will root him out. Producing a parchment map, he referenced it thrice before arriving at the mouth of a wind cave nestled within a sharp crevice. He narrowed his eyes, his expression turning solemn. He commanded, tread carefully, all of you. A domain capable of felling even exalted Six Paths harbors dangers beyond imagination. With those words spoken, he took the lead and plunged into the abyss, his two disciples following closely behind. Imperial Consort Yunxia lightly gritted her pearly white teeth. She absolutely could not allow this arduous journey to bear no fruit. Steeling her resolve, she leaped into the darkness after them. As for Fang Chen, he descended the primordial stone steps into the unknown depths, though it felt as if he had traversed a distance surpassing the height of a towering mountain. The bottom was still nowhere in sight. Gradually, the suffocating, narrow passage began to widen. At long last, his feet made contact with the deepest abyss of the chasm. A crimson glow arrived, accompanied by billowing waves of heat. Upon fixing one's gaze, it was revealed to be naught but surging magma. The magma flowed serenely, yet unleashed astonishing waves of heat. At the heart of the magma pool rested a colossal, spherical black boulder, its greater portion submerged within the fiery liquid. At first glance, it resembled an egg, yet it was monstrously immense, stretching 100 zhang in length. Upon this stone, an ancient and dilapidated shrine stood. The shrine was diminutive, akin to a roadside earth god temple. One would need to stoop low to enter its confines. Yet, strangely, the billowing waves of scorching heat could not suppress the chilling aura that emanated from within the shrine. What struck Fang Chen with even greater awe was the corpse seated against the shrine's exterior wall. Though unknown how long it had been deceased, its flesh remained vibrant, its hair raven black, lifelike in its repose. It was clad in a profound black robe, upon which 6 peculiar patterns were intricately woven. Some patterns resembled malevolent fiends, others resembled beasts, some depicted humans, and still others, asuras. Fang Chen vaguely discerned a deeper meaning. He murmured, could these patterns be the fabled 6 paths of reincarnation? The evil spirit nodded, precisely, this is the nascent soul corpse I spoke of. Do you see the crimson ring upon its finger? That is a spatial storage artifact. In ages past, I concealed this corpse with an illusionary technique, deceiving the tiger demonic emperor. Else this spatial storage artifact would have long been seized by him, leaving naught for you now. He drew a deep breath, his tone brimming with uncontainable exhilaration. 50 years my remnant soul has wandered, and at last I shall find a vessel for repose. Young one, I thank you for our journey thus far. To have encountered you, it is this old man's fortune. Should you face hardship in days to come, you may always seek me out. This grace of rebirth no recompense could ever truly repay. Fang Chen clasped his fists. Senior, you are too modest. You have guided me greatly throughout our journey. We are now even. Though their initial encounter was far from amicable, once an accord was struck, the evil spirit had sincerely imparted much guidance upon him. The treasures of glazed jade, the sky thunder stones from the golden cloud rift valley. Most crucially, he had guided Fang Chen to that hidden spatial storage point for provisions upon the Great Wall. Had it not been so, humanity would undoubtedly have suffered a crushing defeat in the Battle of Realm Mountain. And now he had guided Fang Chen to take a hidden path, allowing him to seize numerous treasures before the cultivators of the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Palace could arrive. To claim he felt no gratitude would be a falsehood. The evil spirit, too, fell silent for a long moment, then spoke with a hint of reluctance. Enough. Place the ancient mirror of illumination upon the corpse's chest. My wisp of a remnant soul shall then enter its form. From that moment, you need no longer concern yourself with me. Take the spatial ring, and this ancient mirror of illumination, which I promised to bestow upon you, take it as well. Our fated connection, it shall temporarily conclude here. Fang Chen rolled his eyes. Your words, they make it sound as though we were a pair of loving cultivators. You old scoundrel. Though he spoke thus, a hint of wistfulness was discernible within his gaze. The evil spirit let out a few weary laughs, then fell into silence, uttering no further words. Fang Chen remained silent, letting out a soft sigh. He leaped, soaring onto the colossal boulder. In a few swift strides, he reached the corpse. He ascertained that the corpse was indeed utterly bereft of life. From his robes, he produced the ancient mirror of illumination, scrutinizing it for a moment. He sighed, Senior, I wish you all success. He bent low. He placed the ancient mirror of illumination into the corpse's embrace. Zzzzz. A sound akin to a faint electrical current rippled forth. Then a fist-sized, fragmented, translucent humanoid figure slowly emerged from the mirror, its hands clasped behind its back. With a single stride, it leaped upon the corpse's brow. As one foot stepped within, just as it was about to fully merge inside, it suddenly halted its movement, its indistinct face turning towards Fang Chen, uttering a chiding laugh. Youngster, are you not going to claim the ancient mirror of illumination and the spatial storage ring and depart? Beware, lest I possess this body and renege on my word, for then your loss would be immense. Fang Chen had retreated several paces without notice, his visage a tapestry of complex emotions. He let out a soft sigh, whispering, There is a question that has long lingered in my heart, one that I have always wished to know the answer to. The evil spirit tapped its chin and replied, Speak. Fang Chen inquired, May I ask the senior's esteemed name? Throughout their journey, he had never pried into the other's name or origins, yet at this pivotal moment, he suddenly voiced the question. The evil spirit fell into a brief silence before calmly uttering 4 words, Venerable Six Paths. Fang Chen gave a subtle nod and retreated further, his voice steady. Then I, Fang Chen, offer my congratulations to Venerable Six Paths on the return to your original physical form. The evil spirit was struck with astonishment, its hazy visage twisted like molded clay, and its voice abruptly turned sinister and shrill. How did you know this was my original body? A flicker of panic surfaced upon its face. Clearly, Fang Chen's revelation had completely transcended its expectations. Fang Chen spoke with a cold indifference. I not only know that this corpse is the very vessel you left behind all those years ago, but I also know that there is absolutely nothing within that spatial storage ring. I further know that you have no intention of returning to your former body. The vessel you truly covet is mine. The evil spirit's features grew even more distorted as its palm-sized soul form flickered violently. It hissed in a dark, baleful tone, How in the heavens did you find out? It suddenly noticed the heart-reflecting ancient mirror suspended in midair, casting its reflection. Startled, it cried out, You can already manifest the power of the heart-reflecting ancient mirror. But back at the Southwest Army camp, did you not require my control? Wait, you have been guarding against me from the very beginning. Fang Chen replied with a calm demeanor, I have not forgotten the scene of our first meeting. Against an evil spirit that must feast upon human blood to strengthen itself, how could I not remain ever vigilant? The evil spirit, or more accurately, the Venerable Six Paths, now radiated a chilling, malevolent aura. Splendid young lad, it seems I have underestimated you after all. Indeed, I never intended to return to my original vessel. In truth, even if I wish to return, it is no longer possible. Venerable Six Paths clasped its hands together and gazed up toward the heavens. This world is governed by the laws of the heavenly Tao. A remnant soul cannot re-enter its original body. One can only seize a new vessel through possession, and such a feat can only be performed once in a lifetime. Fang Chen's gaze turned icy. So, when you proposed finding a corpse for reincarnation, Your true intent was to seize my body. Venerable Six Paths shrugged indifferently. And why wouldn't I? An infinite spirit root, rare throughout the world, far surpassing my own in my prime. You carry the purple spirit sword, a weapon of profound origins, and possess numerous mysterious cultivation methods. What came after was even more extraordinary. Your cultivation soared like a dragon, and you successively obtained grand opportunities such as the 5 Magnet Primal Mountain, the 5 Flows of Void Energy, and the 5 Magnet Divine Light. I cannot conceive of a single reason to refuse such a perfect vessel. Fang Chen asked coldly, why did you not attempt the possession at the start? Back then, I was merely in the Foundation establishment realm. Surely it would have been far easier than it is now. Venerable Six Paths acted like an old friend, showing no haste to strike, and engaged in conversation with great interest. I was far too frail then, but now things have changed. After a period of slumber, I have recovered significantly. I have even prepared several techniques tailored specifically for you, all to ensure that not a single thing goes awry. You are simply too clever. You have forced a minor adjustment to my plans. Venerable Six Paths pointed toward the spatial storage ring on his corpse. This ring is actually a trap. Whoever touches it will be frozen in place, unable to move, only to be drained dry by my corpse as nourishment. At the motion of his finger, the surface of the spatial ring twisted, its disguise dissolving to reveal its true form. It was actually a germinated seed. The bud at the top opened and closed, revealing rows of fine, sharp fangs. Had an unwitting victim touched it, they would have been bitten instantly, their body paralyzed as they were drained of their very essence. A chill ran down Fang Chen's spine. No wonder your corpse remains as pristine as crystal after all these years. And no wonder so many explorers have come here over the ages. By all rights, they should have discovered your corpse and your storage ring long ago, yet they remained in their original state, untouched. It turns out that everyone who coveted your treasures is dead. They perished without even a burial, becoming nothing more than nutrients to sustain your body. Even the corpse left behind concealed such a venomous trap. One could imagine what kind of person Venerable Six Paths was during his life, undoubtedly a ruthless and cruel hegemon. They dared to touch the remains of the Venerable Six Paths. They were truly ignorant and reckless. Venerable Six Paths sneered. If they had even an inkling of my reputation, they would have fled far away, not daring to step within 3 feet of my corpse. It seemed Venerable Six Paths was even more malevolent and savage than Fang Chen had imagined. To think this was the remnant soul that had been by his side all along. Fang Chen's eyes glinted with sharp light. Venerable Six Paths seemed to sense something and sighed softly. Fang Chen, I actually quite like you. You are clever, cautious, and full of vitality. In you I see the shadow of my younger self. Back then I was just like you, high-spirited and filled with a heart of righteousness. But your fate is better than mine. Everyone you met along the way was a person of virtue. Your sect treats you with grace as heavy as a mountain. Your confidantes treat you with sincere affection. And even your friends are willing to die for you. You have lived the life I always craved, the most beautiful version of life. I once considered whether I should choose another to possess. You should not have been the one I destroyed. I should have taken another body to be your friend, or perhaps your elder, to see what life I once desired would eventually grow into. Alas, my remnant soul is thin, and my days are numbered. If I do not find a suitable vessel soon, I will dissipate into nothingness, my soul scattered to the winds. There are still things I must do. Tasks left unfinished. I need a body. I need another life to complete them. Thus, Venerable Six Paths looked toward Fang Chen, his sinister voice carrying a hint of a smile and a trace of reluctance. Fang Chen, I shall borrow your body for a time. If you were to let your soul leave voluntarily and surrender your vessel, that would be best. I can promise to find you a new body in return. What say you? Fang Chen's expression remained tranquil as he shook his head slowly. Speak of such things only after you have succeeded in seizing my soul. He surged upward, leaping back toward the entrance. Venerable Six Paths kept his hands tucked in his sleeves and sighed. You should know that there is no escape. Even those nascent soul experts became my nourishment. What hope do you have? He stood upon the corpse's shoulders and gently patted its face. Time to work. As his voice faded, the corpse, deceased for a full cycle of 60 years, violently snapped its eyes open. It revealed a pair of emotionless, blood-red pupils. Fang Chen's expression drastically shifted. A puppet. Having clashed with undead legions before, he was all too familiar with this. The difference, however, was that the corpse of exalted Master Six Paths was in existence at the late stage of the nascent soul realm. Even now, having been reduced to a corpse puppet, it still retained the might of the early stage of the nascent soul realm. How could this possibly be something Fang Chen could contend against? As the corpse slowly rose to its feet, a terrifying pressure swept forth. Flying backward, Fang Chen suddenly felt the crushing weight of Mount Tai bearing down upon him, his body plummeting rigidly toward the churning magma below. 6 divisions of heavenly thunder shadow in the clouds. In this critical moment, Fang Chen let out a low roar. Just as he was about to plunge into the lava, he transformed into a streak of lightning, soaring into the heavens and surging toward the exit. But just as he was about to reach it, swoosh, his vision blurred. The corpse of Exalted Master Six Paths had materialized to block the exit. His remnant soul stood upon its shoulder, speaking with an ancient, weathered voice. Fang Chen, surrender your physical body. It is your best choice. Before a nascent soul realm existence, any resistance from Fang Chen was utterly futile. It was akin to a mortal crushing a struggling ant beneath their heel. Then come and try. Fang Chen coldly scoffed. He did not halt his advance in the slightest. Instead, he thrust both palms forward with ruthless force. 5 Thunder's heavenly rectification palm. A 10-foot massive palm imprint struck the corpse viciously. Since it was a puppet forged by devouring the essence blood of others, it should naturally fear the power of thunder. The corpse immediately billowed out massive volumes of black smoke, undeniably the aura of death. This death aura was terrifyingly dense, far thicker than the earthen jar of death aura possessed by Demon Moon. Rather than being scattered by the 5 Thunder's heavenly rectification palm, it instead contorted into a massive maw, completely devouring the thunderous palm imprint. With only a few muffled claps of thunder, the 5 Thunder's heavenly rectification palm was thoroughly swallowed. Exalted Master Six Paths said indifferently, the Tao of Thunder indeed suppresses the aura of death, but there are no absolutes in this world when the death aura reaches a certain level of might. Ordinary thunder arts can no longer restrain it. As his words faded, the completely unscathed corpse puppet abruptly struck. A pair of iron-like arms suddenly seized Fang Chen's shoulders, violently slamming him down toward the earth. Crack, even the very earth fractured beneath the impact. Fang Chen's feet sank deep into the ground, leaving him utterly immobilized. What was even worse was that his spiritual energy and void, flowing thunder might, were completely suppressed. Only his arms could barely swing the purple sword. However, a fierce slash against the corpse puppet only managed to leave superficial scars. The palm-sized remnant soul of Exalted Master Six Paths slowly floated away from the corpse, stepping through the void toward Fang Chen's forehead. He gently shook his head and said, "It is useless. My corpse has absorbed the nourishment of nascent soul experts for so many years that its physical toughness already approaches the soul formation realm. With your spiritual energy suppressed, you cannot unleash the true might of that purple sword. Accept your fate, Fang Chen. I shall give you one final opportunity. Detach your soul and surrender your physical vessel. If I forcefully seize your body, your soul shall be utterly shattered." Fang Chen clenched his jaw and spat. "Don't even dream about it." Exalted Master Six Paths let out a faint sigh and murmured, "I have shown you the utmost benevolence." He planted a foot upon Fang Chen's forehead, preparing to force his way inside. Fang Chen's eyes suddenly flashed, and a materialized soul spike shot forth without any warning. At such point, blank range, it pierced directly into the remnant soul of Exalted Master Six Paths. Master Six Paths suddenly let out a blood-curdling shriek of terror. His palm-sized soul essence suddenly trembled violently, as if on the verge of total dissipation. At that very moment, his soul essence abruptly regained its stability, and the wretched screams ceased instantly. Master Six Paths wore a mocking sneer. "Just now, did you truly believe your scheme had succeeded? Did a surge of wild joy bloom within your heart?" Fang Chen narrowed his eyes. "So, you were also guarding against me?" During his golden core formation, he had cultivated a soul's secret technique, preparing to strike a decisive blow against Master Six Paths. Little did he know, the old ghost was equally prepared. "Heh." Master Six Paths chuckled, finding the situation amusing. "You are more cunning than a fox, brat. I am but a remnant soul. How could I dare not be wary of you?" Reaching into his ethereal form, he extracted a crystal core the size of a button. "Did you truly believe the time I spent in slumber was for naught?" This crystal core was forged specifically to absorb soul attacks. Brat, your final trump card has been neutralized. The game is over. Master Six Paths let out a complex sigh, and with a single step upon Fang Chen's forehead, he entered without the slightest resistance. A moment later, he manifested within the depths of Fang Chen's divine platform. Fang Chen's soul resided here, gazing upon the desolate divine platform, enclosed by only 2 massive walls. Master Six Paths clasped his hands behind his back and spoke indifferently. There is no use in hiding. Submit to my soul devouring, and perhaps your agony shall be lessened. To his surprise, a voice laced with a faint, mocking smile descended from the heavens. Am I not standing right before your very eyes? Master Six Paths froze, and slowly tilted his head upward. His pupils constricted violently, and his soul essence began to shudder uncontrollably. Those 2 walls were not walls at all. They were a pair of feet. As his gaze ascended, a colossal soul entity, over 100 times larger than himself, loomed like a majestic mountain range before him. And the face of that soul, who else could it be but Fang Chen? A mocking smile played on Fang Chen's lips. A mere remnant soul dares to dream of devouring a nascent soul realm soul essence. Master Six Paths, you truly are a bold dreamer. Master Six Paths' soul quivered as he let out a shriek of utter horror. Your soul is at the nascent soul realm. How can this be? This revelation was as if an ant he intended to crush had suddenly transformed into a ferocious flood dragon. It was too absurd, too inconceivable, too impossible to believe. Fang Chen chuckled. Otherwise, why did you think I was a soul master? He leaned down and extended a single finger. The fingertip alone was more massive than Master Six Paths' entire remnant soul. With a gentle press, he pinned the remnant soul to the ground. The soul writhed in agonizing struggle. Is this your hidden ultimate secret? Master Six Paths was filled with bitter self-mockery. To think he had been observing Fang Chen in secret, believing he held all the boy's secrets, and had even prepared for his soul's secret techniques. Yet, in the end, he remained ignorant that Fang Chen's soul had reached such a terrifying degree of power. Though it had not fully reached the nascent soul realm, it was not far from it. His plan to seize Fang Chen's body had been a monumental farce from the very beginning. With only a remnant soul remaining, he did not possess even 1/10 of his peak power. Possessing a cultivator at the early Golden Core realm would have been simple, but attempting to seize a nascent soul, that was truly seeking his own destruction. The ultimate secret, Fang Chen's greatest secret, was undoubtedly the great void divine tree, a truth he would never reveal. My secrets are many, I wonder which one you speak of. He looked at Taoist Master Liu with a half-smile, causing the latter's face to flush with shame and indignation. Since you do not fear soul possession, why pretend to resist? Had you allowed me into your spirit altar from the start, would it not all be over by now? Fang Chen offered a faint smile. You plotted for so long and exerted such effort, I felt obliged to grant you a moment of joy and a sense of achievement. To dash your hopes from the very beginning would have been quite heartless. Taoist Master Liu was instantly fumed with rage. This wretched creature had feigned weakness, granting him the illusory sense of invincibility as if everything were within his grasp. Only then would he deliver a devastating blow, causing him to plummet from the heavens into the depths of hell. Fang Chen, such ruthless methods, I am well and truly defeated. He huffed indignantly. I should have realized sooner. How could a brat as cunning as you not guard against my possession? And since you were guarded, how would you dare follow me here without an absolute trump card? I have been wise for a lifetime, only to be muddled in this single moment. However, after a brief silence, Fang Chen spoke words that left him stunned. In truth, I am quite grateful to you. Regardless of whether your intentions were sincere or driven by ulterior motives, you have guided me much like a mentor. Since the beginning of my path in cultivation, I have been alone, groping through the darkness and comprehending the Tao in solitude. You are the only one who has ever offered me guidance. Sometimes I wonder how wonderful it would have been if you were not an evil spirit. Perhaps we could have shared a bond as both mentor and friend. Even though I suspected your ill intent, I still came, if for nothing else, then for the slim chance that you truly wished for a rebirth. What if I had misunderstood you? Taoist Master Liu fell silent. After a long while, he let out a dejected sigh and spoke hoarsely. I have disappointed you. Fang Chen said no more. He gazed at him for a long time before speaking with a complex tone. Enter the cycle of reincarnation early and live the life you truly desire. Taoist Master Liu I knew Fang Chen was about to obliterate him. He ceased his struggle, cupped his hands with a smile, and said, "I shall take your auspicious words to heart." Fang Chen nodded and applied pressure with his fingers. Puff, Taoist Master Liu Dao's remnant soul was crushed into fragments. Yet he did not perish. Between the shattered pieces of his soul, invisible threads remained. They drifted into the air and recoalesced, manifesting once more as the remnant soul of Taoist Master Liu Dao. "Hee, brat, do you think it is so easy to slay me? Reincarnation, it is far too early for that." Taoist Master Liu Dao smiled triumphantly and immediately fled from Fang Chen's spirit altar. Fang Chen was momentarily stunned, then broke into a wry laugh. "I actually forgot that you are a grand old demon. One truly cannot relax for even a single breath." "Nevertheless, you must still die," he sighed softly. At Fang Chen's forehead, Taoist Master Liu Dao rushed out, lunging toward the puppet in a single stride and screaming his command, "Hurry, strike, kill him." On the spiritual plane, he was no match for Fang Chen, but his puppet could slay Fang Chen with ease. While he was still in midair, Fang Chen drew a string of Buddhist beads from his robes and cast them toward him. Instantly, radiant Buddhist light erupted from the beads, illuminating Taoist Master Liu Dao's remnant soul. In the midst of his flight, he was frozen in midair by the light. He gasped in horror, "Buddhist light." Before he could break free from the containment, the string of Buddhist beads descended upon him, encircling him and revolving relentlessly. Finally, they bound him as tightly as a twisted hemp rope. With him suppressed, the puppet that had been poised to launch a lethal strike stood motionless, like a block of wood. "Soul-suppressing Buddhist beads, when did you obtain them? How did I not know?" Fang Chen smiled faintly. "I told you, my secrets are many. You will never guess them all." Then, without further hesitation, he retrieved the ancient heart, reflecting mirror, from the chest of the corpse. Finally, he looked at the mysterious seed, disguised as a spatial storage ring, on the finger. After a brief deliberation, Fang Chen circulated his spiritual energy and used his purple sword to sever the finger along with the spatial ring, placing them inside a jade box. He sealed it tightly and cast it into the heavenly thunder stone. As for the puppet corpse, Fang Chen was quite tempted to keep it. Unfortunately, the corpse was linked to Taoist Master Liu Dao's heart, veins, none but he could control it. Left with no choice, he could only destroy it. Right then, Fang Chen sensed movement from above, and his heart tightened. The experts of the Myriad Tribulations Holy Palace had arrived. He swiftly donned the turtle, breath cloak, and hid beside the exit, waiting for his chance to act. Soon, Taoist Master King arrived with his retinue. Upon emerging, his gaze sharpened as he saw the blood, red eyes of Taoist Master Liu Dao's corpse. Realizing it was merely a corpse, he lowered his guard and sighed in relief. So, Taoist Master Liu Dao truly did fall here all those years ago. He immediately stepped forward to inspect the body, but after searching, he failed to find the object he sought. His expression darkened once more. "The item is missing. Where is his spatial storage artifact? Could it have been taken by someone years ago?" He noticed that a section of the corpse's index finger was missing, and blood was still dripping from the wound. There were only a few drops of blood on the ground. What did this signify? The finger had just been severed. The culprit was still here. Smack at that thought, he struck the cave entrance with his fly. Whisk without hesitation, the meditation lotus threads spread out, forming a massive web that sealed the exit completely. A cold sneer played on his lips. "I have finally cornered you. Show yourself before this master." Fang Chen sucked in a cold breath. He had been about to head toward the exit when the fly Whisk struck, nearly hitting him dead on. This was a strike from a nascent soul realm powerhouse. Had it connected, he would have been flayed alive even if he survived. As for showing himself, he would naturally never reveal his presence. If Venerable Azure Crane showed some courtesy to Consort Yunxia, it was only because of her connection to the Demon Emperor. What was Fang Chen? If he coveted anything Fang Chen possessed, he would likely have slain him and seized his treasures without uttering a single superfluous word. Moreover, the formidable aura of death emanating from Venerable Six Paths' corpse, thick enough to pierce the heavens, entirely concealed the demonic blood aura upon Fang Chen. Let alone him, even Consort Yunxia herself could not discern it, much less. Here, molten lava raged, and that dilapidated shrine continuously exuded an eerie spectral energy. The faint trace of blood aura on him was utterly negligible. As long as he wasn't so ill-fated as to be directly encountered, he should remain undiscovered. "This venerable one shall speak but once more," Venerable Azure Crane declared with a deep, resonating voice. To merely seize the bodhi tree would be one thing, but to also abscond with Venerable Six Paths' spatial storage ring. How could he possibly be permitted to depart? Observing the persistent silence, Venerable Azure Crane scoffed coldly. You refuse the honorable path, so you shall endure the harsh retribution. Boom, a boundless nascent soul aura erupted from within him. Including his two disciples, Consort Yunxia and Cunning, all immediately felt as if Mount Tai itself pressed down upon them, rendering every breath an arduous struggle. Fang Chen, caught unawares, was likewise pressed to the ground. Terror gripped his heart. Is this truly the might of the nascent soul realm? Even a mere aura can suppress golden core cultivators to such a sorry state. Should he truly unleash his power, life itself could be extinguished in but a breath. At this moment, Venerable Six Paths, bound by the soul, suppressing Buddhist beads, gestured towards Fang Chen's embrace. Fang Chen understood. Activating his silent meditation, he gazed at Venerable Six Paths and thought in his mind, what is it? His thoughts manifested directly within Venerable Six Paths' soul. Venerable Six Paths, in turn, used this connection to converse with Fang Chen through his soul. Release me. I shall manipulate my corpse to eradicate this insufferable old Taoist. Fang Chen merely rolled his eyes at him. Can your words truly be trusted? If Venerable Six Paths were truly to regain control of his puppet, it is uncertain who he would choose to eliminate first. For Venerable Azure Crane might not pose a mortal threat to him, but Fang Chen, wielding the soul, suppressing Buddhist beads, undoubtedly could. Hurry, this fool must not be allowed to continue releasing his aura, lest he awaken that ancient entity. If that occurs, all of us shall perish. That ancient entity, Fang Chen's eyes narrowed. Only then did he realize he had overlooked an exceedingly perilous existence. What was it all those years ago that had grievously wounded the Tiger Demon Emperor, causing his sudden demise upon his return? To this very moment, that entity had yet to reveal itself. His thoughts raced like lightning. He had to quickly devise a way to sow chaos here and seize the opportunity to escape, lest he truly awaken that entity. But precisely at this moment, a colossal bubble suddenly burst forth from the quiescent molten lava, causing the magma to churn violently. Swiftly followed by two, then three, in the blink of an eye, the lava pool began to seethe like boiling water, countless bubbles erupting to its surface. A faint wisp of primeval aura slowly ascended from the depths of the lava pool. Venerable Azure Crane, who had been pressuring Fang Chen, suddenly blanched. He swiftly retracted his nascent soul aura and stared intently at the lava pool. The intensifying primeval aura caused his nascent soul to tremble, even stirring the impulse to escape his body. Venerable Azure Crane's expression grew solemn. In the 50 years since he had formed his nascent soul, he had never once encountered a situation where his nascent soul felt such terror. Not even when he had faced death's precipice on numerous occasions had his nascent soul ever reacted in such a manner. Consort Yunxia, Demon King Cunning, and the two disciples all felt a panic unlike any they had known before. Quickly, clear the exit. We, the demonic race, want nothing more from this place. Consort Yunxia's heart pounded furiously. Even when she had faced her heavenly tribulation, she had never experienced such profound terror. Venerable Azure Crane was exceedingly unwilling, yet years of intuition screamed at him that he could no longer hesitate. Something utterly ferocious was undoubtedly emerging from within that lava pool. He decisively retracted his whisk, snatched Venerable Six Paths' corpse, and plunged into the exit, soaring upwards with incredible speed. Consort Yunxia and the others also felt their scalps tingle with dread, for in that brief moment of delay, the lava pool had already begun to churn violently, as if overturning rivers and seas. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The group rapidly darted inside, and Fang Chen hastily followed. Just then, an earth-shattering roar erupted, sending molten lava surging dozens of zhang into the sky, spilling near the exit. Fang Chen hastily retreated. Bang! The earth violently quaked as a 5 zhang long bluish-gray arm extended from the lava pool. A single one of its fingers was longer than Fang Chen himself. Bang! Immediately thereafter, another arm emerged. The two arms hooked onto the edge of the pool, and with a mighty heave, a churning, gurgling sound echoed from the lava below, as if something immense was clawing its way out. Thud, a head emerged, a head larger than a thatched hut, crowned with long, flowing black hair, possessing a gaping maw filled with fangs and a nose acutely sensitive to scent. Most uniquely, it possessed but a single eye, situated squarely in the center of its face. Fang Chen's heart hammered frantically. A single eye, colossal humanoid form. Only one entity sprang to his mind, an ancient giant. The very giants who unleashed the primal calamity of antiquity, could they truly still exist? Fang Chen pressed against the wall, daring not to move, forcibly suppressing even his breath, unwilling to utter the slightest sound. Even Venerable Six Paths transmitted his terror, stricken thoughts, an ancient giant, such a fearsome lineage, a remnant of primal antiquity, hidden beneath this lava. No wonder the Tiger Demon Emperor was left with but half a life. Fang Chen dared not even respond, fearing that even his divine sense would be detected by such a profoundly malevolent entity. Fortunately, the aura of this place was exceedingly chaotic, and Fang Chen possessed the tortoise, breath cloak. Thus, the newly awakened ancient giant failed to perceive him. With a sweep of its colossal eye, it located the cavern entrance through which the others had fled. Angrily pounding its chest, it slowly receded back into the molten lava. However, it did not immediately submerge. Instead, it approached the gigantic, round black stone at the center of the magma pool, extending its long tongue to pierce through the dark monolith. The massive stone shuddered, emitting a flickering, unstable luminescence. Illuminated by the glow, the colossal silhouette of a fetus could be seen writhing in agony within the egg. The giant's tongue plunged deep into the fetus, taking a forceful gulp. Squelch, a visible stream of life essence blood was siphoned from the unborn entity. The ancient giant let out a groan of profound satisfaction before slowly submerging back into the molten magma. Fang Chen and Supreme Venerable Six Paths were utterly dumbfounded. Quick, tell me my eyes aren't deceiving me. That spherical stone in the magma pool is actually an egg, and there is a living fetus inside. Fang Chen was equally astounded. Spanning 100 zhang in size, what manner of egg could this be? Even the true form of a demonic emperor was merely 100 zhang. It would be utterly impossible for them to lay an egg of such colossal proportions, wouldn't it? Perhaps only a sage of the demon race could birth an egg of such magnitude. Wait, Fang Chen's pupils quaked with realization. Does this not mean that this egg is the progeny of a demon sage, a direct descendant? If so, it must contain incredibly dense true spirit blood within. Brat, what exactly are you plotting? Do not entertain such reckless thoughts. This ancient giant has managed to survive from a millennium ago until now entirely by siphoning the essence of the fetus within this egg. If you seize it, will he not hunt you down to the very ends of the earth? Deducing Fang Chen's audacious intent, Supreme Venerable Six Paths hastily warned him in a panic. Fang Chen's gaze remained fixed on the colossal egg as he pondered intently. How swiftly can this ancient giant move? Supreme Venerable Six Paths was so infuriated he nearly coughed up blood. Why are you so obstinate? If you insist on seeking death here, do not drag me into the abyss with you. Fang Chen replied with a placid tone, cast aside your delusions. Even if I escape this place alive, I will still extinguish your soul. Supreme Venerable Six Paths was instantly deflated. From the very moment he attempted to seize his body, any possibility of reconciliation between them was annihilated. It was an absolute struggle of life and death. Supreme Venerable Six Paths released a heavy sigh and said, even mighty experts of the nascent soul realm are nothing more than fodder to the ancient giants. Thus, their speed of movement is undoubtedly not far inferior to a nascent soul cultivator. However, why does this ancient giant cower here, clinging to life? I surmise that he suffered grievous injuries during the Great War a millennium ago. Stumbling upon this colossal egg by sheer providence, he chose to lie dormant in this abyss, sustaining his waning life force by feeding upon the egg's essence. As such, his speed must be a mere shadow of his peak condition. I estimate he is marginally slower than a true nascent soul realm entity. Fang Chen pondered these words carefully, finding profound logic in this analysis. Had this ancient giant truly retained his peak prowess, there would be no era of rule between the demonic emperor and the pavilion master of heavenly secrets. He would have emerged long ago to devour them whole. Naturally, this merely implied his speed had diminished from its prime. His actual combat strength remained an unfathomable mystery. The primordial, desolate aura he exuded moments ago was terrifyingly vast, yet it was a risk worth taking. A sharp glint flashed through Fang Chen's eyes. If this were purely a contest of speed, a glimmer of hope for escape remained. Even if he were overtaken, he could simply discard the colossal egg. As the ancient giant's vital lifeline, it was highly improbable that the behemoth would abandon the egg merely to slaughter an insignificant mortal like himself. Drawing a deep breath, Fang Chen waited until the magma pool regained its absolute tranquility. He covertly regulated his internal chi, bracing himself for the explosive dash toward the mammoth egg. As long as his hand grazed the surface of the colossal egg, he could trigger the spatial storage properties of the heavenly thunderstone, absorbing the egg into its inner dimension. You must move with the speed of lightning. The ancient giant has only just slipped into slumber and is easily roused. Should you hesitate for even a fraction of a breath and draw his awareness, you shall never leave this place alive. Do I truly need you to remind me? Fang Chen retorted, his gaze locked onto the giant egg. A mere dozen zhang separated them. Engaging his movement technique, he could cross the expanse in a single, breathless stride. Yet he decisively abandoned the thought of relying on standard movement techniques. Since extreme velocity was paramount, he had to push his speed to the absolute zenith, leaving not a single trace of risk behind. For the ancient giant to obliterate him, it would only take the slightest misstep. There was absolutely no room for sheer luck. Thus, he focused his entire being upon the colossal egg. As his concentration peaked, the void, flowing thunder kai, surged violently within his meridians. Without hesitation, he executed the 6 chapters of heavenly thunder, shadow in the clouds, transforming into a blinding arc of lightning that teleported directly toward the egg. After all, this was the speed of heavenly lightning. In a single breath, it could traverse across 10,000 leagues of mountains and rivers. To cross a meager dozen zhang, it would take less than a fleeting instant. However, in the very midst of his teleportation, the placid surface of the magma pool suddenly ruptured. A cyan-gray, elongated arm shot forth with the swiftness of thunder, its massive hand gripping a spiked mace stained with the dried blood of countless fallen powerhouses. Some of these bloodstains even emanated the profound aura of the soul formation realm, a grim testament to the myriad of supreme experts who had perished beneath this mace a millennium ago. Fang Chen and Supreme Venerable Six Paths were struck with mutual, unadulterated terror. He was feigning sleep. He discovered your presence ages ago. The cunning of this ancient giant was truly diabolical. Though he had long detected a concealed interloper, he seamlessly masqueraded his slumber without the slightest tell. It was highly probable that he had deliberately extracted the egg's essence as bait, coaxing the hidden life form out of the shadows. This fully charged, devastating strike yielded nothing to the might of the nascent soul realm. Before the spiked mace even connected, the lightning enveloping Fang Chen's body began to flicker wildly, threatening to violently sever his thunder escape technique. Fang Chen's heart hammered against his ribs. Facing this was akin to enduring a direct blow from a nascent soul supreme expert. Fortunately, the ancient giant had grossly miscalculated. He had not anticipated that Fang Chen was executing a lightning art, let alone one as sublimely profound as the shadow in the clouds. With a piercing howl of wind, Fang Chen completed his teleportation, materializing directly upon the colossal egg an instant before the mace descended. The spiked club struck empty air, crashing violently against the rocky shore instead. Instantly, the subterranean expanse began to rumble and violently quake, resonating like a war drum struck with cataclysmic force. This terrifying shockwave cascaded outward, triggering a massive tremor that shook the entire mountain to its core. For a time, the earth heaved and the mountains swayed. Countless boulders rained down from above as the entire cavern teetered on the brink of absolute collapse from that single, world-shaking strike. A bone-piercing chill swept down Fang Chen's spine. It was sheer fortune that he had employed a lightning art. Had he relied upon mundane movement techniques, he would have been struck squarely, instantly pulverized into a mist of blood. Feeling the solid surface beneath his feet, he knew he had successfully landed upon the colossal egg. Acting with fluid and unhesitating precision, Fang Chen decisively slammed his palm against the egg's shell. Conversely, the ancient giant had never anticipated that his fatal blow would miss, leaving himself without a follow-up strike. By the time the behemoth realized his error and violently rose from the magma pool, Fang Chen had already activated the heavenly thunderstone. With a sharp swoosh, the spherical titan of an egg, along with the decrepit little temple resting atop it, were instantaneously swallowed into the void of the heavenly thunderstone. The ancient giant unleashed an apocalyptic roar of pure fury, thrusting his free hand toward Fang Chen with the swiftness of lightning. Yet Fang Chen's sequence was utterly seamless. At the precise moment he stored the gigantic egg, he triggered shadow in the clouds once more. Missing the gargantuan hand by a hair's breadth, he shot like a phantom into the exit tunnel. Without a shred of hesitation, he continuously activated shadow in the clouds, traversing 200 zhang with every leap. After successive bursts, when the lightning essence within him ran completely dry, he instantly unsheathed his purple sword. Unifying the sword heart and the sword body, he soared into the air upon his blade. To Fang Chen, the purple sword in his grasp felt as though it had become an extension of his own mortal shell, as intrinsic as wings to a falcon. With a mere flick of his intent, the radiant blade carried him surging frantically upward. Then a scene of absolute horror unfolded. Barely halfway up the ascent, a crimson, serpentine monstrosity lunged after him from the depths. Its terrifying speed rivaled even that of the shadow in the clouds. "That is the tongue of the ancient giant," a supreme Venerable Six Paths shrieked in horror. Fang Chen's heart hammered fiercely in his chest. He had engaged shadow in the clouds 5 consecutive times, vaulting a distance of no less than 1,000 zhang. How could the ancient giant's tongue possibly stretch to such ungodly lengths? Moreover, he had witnessed its devastating sharpness first, and it had pierced the rock-hard shell of the colossal egg as though it were mere parchment. If it were to overtake him, discarding all hesitation, Fang Chen thrust his fingers backward. The frost of lamentation soared upon his back, erupted from its scabbard, tearing through the air to viciously skewer the pursuing tongue. The frost of lamentation sword buried itself deep within the appendage, provoking an earth-shattering roar of agony from the ancient giant below. No matter how formidable his tongue might be, flesh and blood still suffered immense torment when struck. With a violent thrash, the massive tongue recoiled back into the depths in blinding pain. Seizing this golden opportunity, Fang Chen pushed his sword flight to its absolute limits, skyrocketing desperately toward the surface. The perilous descent had consumed the time it took to brew a full cup of tea, but his frantic escape back to the outer perimeter of the 4 great halls required merely a minute or 2. His eyes darted to the tunnel violently carved open by Supreme Venerable Green Crane and his entourage, noting the mystical restrictions had not yet fully mended. He could sense their arduous climb, faintly detecting the echoes of their panicked retreat. A faint smile graced Fang Chen's lips as he raised his gaze toward an imperceptible, minute breach woven into the vault of the firmament above. With a swift execution of sword flight, he plunged into the chasm, once again seizing a shortcut through the perilous depths. Ere long, a refreshing breeze long absent embraced his senses, signaling his emergence from the subterranean labyrinth. Perceiving that they were still ascending, Fang Chen's eyes glinted with cunning. He swiftly returned the Buddha statue to its original position, meticulously erasing all traces of its movement. Hastily, he returned to the ancient stone pillar, retrieving the dragon, binding lock to once more shackle himself, feigning an undisturbed presence as if he had never departed. Six Paths Venerable was once more utterly exasperated, his eyes widening in disbelief. "You alone plundered all the treasures, yet you dare to feign innocence. Have you no shame left to possess?" Any other cultivator would have long absconded with the spoils, fleeing into the unknown, who would conceive of remaining behind to feign innocence and lament their plight. Such an audacious feat could only be accomplished by Fang Chen. "My failed attempt at body seizure was indeed no injustice. Every fiber of your being, young one, is teeming with schemes and guile." Six Paths Venerable conceded, his spirit finally convinced. Fang Chen, whilst meticulously scrutinizing his person for any overlooked suspicious detail, retorted, "Do you truly believe this is by my design? If I were to vanish, Azure Crane Venerable would instantly discern that I was the one who claimed the bodhi tree and the ring from your remains. I might flee, but my sect cannot escape his wrath. If he were to venture to the Azure Cloud sect and threaten my master's lineage, what recourse would I possess? Furthermore, that woman Yunxia still holds 2 of my treasured possessions. Before any departure, I must reclaim what is mine." Six Paths Venerable comprehended with a nod. "Indeed, you speak truly. I know something of Azure Crane Venerable. Beneath his veneer of righteousness lies a heart of ruthless steel. Be wary, for he is no easy adversary to placate." Fang Chen's brows furrowed subtly. He had witnessed first, and the decisiveness and meticulousness displayed by Azure Crane Venerable within the infernal lava pool. Had it not been for the sudden emergence of the ancient giant, he harbored no doubt that Azure Crane Venerable possessed myriad means to uncover his hidden presence. Before long, from the colossal aperture, Azure Crane Venerable burst forth first, his 2 disciples trailing close behind, with concubine Yunxia and demonic King Chun nigh bringing up the rear. Upon emerging, concubine Yunxia's gaze immediately pierced towards Fang Chen, for he was the one upon whom her gravest suspicions rested. Discovering him still dutifully bound in place, she involuntarily furrowed her brow. She advanced to meticulously inspect the dragon, binding lock, finding it indeed as taut and secure as before. Just as she prepared for a more thorough examination, Fang Chen feigned a bewildered expression, inquiring, did some great tremor just befall the depths within. I felt as though the very mountain itself quaked violently. This diversion caused concubine Yunxia's heart to stir with unease. Halfway through their ascent, the mountain had indeed violently swayed, and a terrifying roar had echoed, now faint, now clear. "This is no benevolent land. We must depart with utmost haste." Concubine Yunxia unfastened one end of the dragon, binding lock from the stone pillar, holding the chain. She bowed towards Azure Crane Venerable, saying, "Senior, we are grateful for your protection throughout this journey. We shall now take our leave. Since the mystical realm's exploration had reached its conclusion, there was no longer any need to entangle herself with the master and his two disciples, especially not with that one named Lu Liang, whose gaze made her profoundly uneasy. Azure Crane Venerable's ancient eyes narrowed slightly as he scrutinized Fang Chen from head to toe. Was this individual truly present here the entire time? Fang Chen's heart jolted within his breast, confirming his suspicion. This old schemer was indeed no easy fool to mislead. He adopted a bewildered expression, asking, "Senior, why dost thou pose such a question?" Azure Crane Venerable approached, his demeanor benevolent as he cupped his hands in a respectful salute, devoid of any arrogance typically displayed by a nascent soul realm powerhouse. He spoke, "Young friend, allow me to introduce myself. I am Azure Crane Venerable. I understand that you merely took my bodhi tree by accident, along with another invaluable treasure of paramount importance to my Myriad Calamity Sacred Hall. Ignorance is no sin, and there shall be no repercussions. Simply return them, and this elder shall bear no ill will. Moreover, I will personally escort you back to the Myriad Calamity Sacred Hall and bestow upon you the esteemed status of a whole disciple. What say you?" Fang Chen scoffed inwardly. His words were smoother than any song, but the ruthless resolve Azure Crane Venerable had displayed within the lava pool, that was his true nature laid bare. If Fang Chen dared to confess, Azure Crane Venerable would surely teach him a lesson in humanity, the kind that entailed a complete rebirth, a return to the cycle of reincarnation. The bodhi tree treasures taken by me. Fang Chen widened his eyes in feigned astonishment, glancing at the chains upon his wrists, then at concubine Yunxia, adopting an expression of profound bewilderment. Concubine Yunxia's brow subtly creased as she stated, "Senior, it is the dragon, binding lock that binds Fang Chen, a magical artifact that even a nascent soul realm cultivator cannot break free from. And the key, it has remained in my possession the entire time." She then produced the very key from Fang Chen's abode, displaying it for Azure Crane Venerable to behold. Azure Crane Venerable cast a fleeting glance at the key, then tugged forcefully at the chains. He discovered that this dragon, binding lock, indeed possessed profound enchantments, for even his hidden strength failed to stir it in the slightest. As he pondered, concubine Yunxia continued, "Even if we were to concede 1,000 possibilities, and grant that he somehow broke free from the dragon, binding lock, how then could he have descended before us? Furthermore, if he were indeed the one in the lava pool, he would have departed after us. How then could he have ascended before us?" These cogent arguments dispelled the majority of Azure Crane Venerable's suspicions. He understood perfectly well how minuscule the possibility was that this youth was involved. Having found no other individual in the vicinity, he had merely sought to probe Fang Chen. From the youth's reactions, no fault could be found. Ever cautious and meticulous, he had not entirely dismissed his suspicions of Fang Chen. His gaze narrowed once more as he spoke, "Young friend, this elder knows it was not you who took them. However, as a precaution, I must perform a thorough inspection of your person. I trust you will not take offense." This was hardly a tone of consultation. It was unmistakably a command. Fang Chen's heart tightened. Six Paths Venerable's warning had proven true. This Azure Crane Venerable was indeed no easy foe to appease. Lu Liang, Azure Crane Venerable stated, his face devoid of expression. Lu Liang strode forward, casting a disdainful glance upon Fang Chen before proceeding with a rough and unceremonious search. Fang Chen pressed his lips into a thin line, his eyes betraying a hint of humiliation, yet he dared not resist, allowing the intrusive search to proceed. Concubine Yunxia, standing by, felt her throat tighten with dread. Fang Chen possessed a spatial storage artifact, teeming with treasures as numerous as ox hairs, no less abundant than the entirety of this secret realm's riches. Should Azure Crane Venerable discover it, he would undoubtedly claim it for his own. And once the treasures were seized, to prevent any leakage of information, how could he not resort to ruthless slaughter to silence all witnesses? If Fang Chen were slain, what then of concubine Yunxia and demonic King Chun Nai? Would they too be spared? How is it that you possess not? Lu Liang, having concluded his search, delivered a contemptuous kick to Fang Chen, causing concubine Yunxia to momentarily freeze in surprise. He had fully expected to unearth some valuable plunder. Yet not a single speck of treasure was found. Fang Chen had long anticipated any search that Lu Liang and Azure Crane Venerable might devise, having already entrusted the little Kilin with the heavenly thunderstone and all other artifacts. Instructing it to conceal them, it would have been truly spectral if they had discovered anything. Concubine Yunxia subtly exhaled, then cast a knowing glance at Fang Chen, stating, when I apprehended him, I had already confiscated all his possessions. He was, from the outset, utterly bereft of personal belongings. Upon confirming that Fang Chen indeed possessed none of the items he sought, Azure Crane Venerable's suspicions were finally and completely dispelled. His brow furrowed deeply as he mused, then this is truly peculiar. What potent being possesses such formidable divine abilities that they could enter before us and emerge after us? He had initially intended to inquire if Fang Chen had witnessed anyone emerging, but a second thought brought clarity. In the lava pool, even he, with his profound cultivation, had failed to perceive any hidden figure. How then could Fang Chen possibly have seen them? First, we must depart this place. We shall investigate at leisure upon our return. Even if it means turning both clans upside down, I shall unearth this individual. He spoke with a dark scowl etched upon his brow. Perceiving the situation, Consort Yunxia once more bid farewell to Venerable King. Then, this junior shall take her leave. She led Fang Chen onto the golden, clawed iron wolf, and Chun-Nai likewise settled obediently upon its back. Gazing upon Consort Yunxia's graceful form, Lu Liang felt a pang of reluctance. Suddenly he noticed Fang Chen staring at him with chilling eyes, prompting him to sneer. Do you still harbor resentment towards me? What of searching your person or kicking you once? Do you dare voice an objection? Consort Yunxia, you may depart, but this individual shall remain. Having gained naught from this expedition, a storm of fury raged within him. As Fang Chen had so foolishly stumbled into his path, he would serve as a convenient target for his ire. Fang Chen rose, his voice frigid. Very well. As long as your master does not intervene, subduing you shall be no challenge. Lu Liang scoffed in amusement. A mere wretch from a desolate land dares to challenge me. Truly you are a frog in a well, ignorant and reckless. Today I shall make you comprehend the utter insignificance of barbarians such as yourselves before the disciples of a martial Tao, Holy Land. His body vibrated, unleashing the terrifying cultivation of the golden core 7th layer. Such cultivation, in any of the other 8 sects apart from the giant sect, would suffice for an elder among the top 3. Yet in the Myriad Calamity Sacred Palace, he was merely a disciple. What peerless talent was this? Fang Chen's eyes narrowed. Though a golden core 7th layer cultivator presented a somewhat formidable challenge, he was not necessarily incapable of a confrontation. Yet at this very moment, a slender, crimson tongue shot forth from beneath the benevolent Buddha's pedestal, swift as lightning. Venerable King was the first to discern the anomaly, his expression shifting as he cried, Lu Liang, beware. The tongue was aimed directly at the nearest Lu Liang. Lu Liang whirled his head, startled. What creature is this? He hastily evaded, but the tongue, instead of striking him, abruptly veered and darted towards the maiden. The maiden's face paled with fright. Without a moment's hesitation, she invoked the 6 heavenly thunderpots, shadow in the clouds, transforming into a humanoid bolt of lightning, attempting to instantly teleport away. This act seemed only to further enrage the tongue, which, with the swiftness of a thunderclap, coiled around the maiden's ankle before her teleportation could complete, then rapidly dragged her towards the base of the Buddha statue. Boom! At this critical juncture, a blade, formed from condensed whisk hairs, slashed down fiercely, carving a colossal 100-jang gash across the mountaintop. The entire peak quaked violently in response, a testament to Venerable King's decisive strike. A single strike from a nascent soul cultivator, and the earth itself trembled, mountains quaked, the tongue was severed into 2 segments, gushing blood as it retracted. The remaining piece writhed and rolled upon the ground, pulverizing stones in its path, and cracking the earth with countless fissures. Venerable King swiftly helped the maiden to her feet, and upon closer inspection, his countenance could not help but change. The maiden's ankle was twisted like a knotted rope. To possess such destructive power from a mere momentary constriction by the tongue, what formidable might did its master wield. Flee swiftly, this place is no longer safe for us to linger. Venerable King summoned his flying spirit skiff, decisively urged his 2 disciples aboard, and then, personally piloting the skiff, tore through the void to escape. Roar, a terrifying bellow emanated from the mountain's depths, growing ever closer, signaling the rapid emergence of the fearsome creature. Fang Chen's heart pounded wildly. He struck the head of the dazed golden, clawed iron wolf, exclaiming, Are you not going to move? Do you wish to be devoured alive? No sooner had they departed the mountain than a thunderous bang, bang, bang resounded, as if the heavens and earth were rending apart. The sacred Buddhist and Taoist mountain, which had stood for countless eons and hosted the illustrious West Bell Temple for millennia, tore open from its very core. A colossal 10-janked all-titan, wielding a formidable bludgeon, emerged, roaring defiantly at the sky. The echoing roar swept forth like a cataclysmic flood, instantly congealing the demonic energy within the golden, clawed iron wolf. Its legs buckled, sending it stumbling to the ground, and all those upon its back were flung violently outwards. They too were afflicted by the resonating roar. Consort Yunxia and Demon King Chun-Nai were astounded to find their demonic energy, honed to golden core 9th layer consummation, utterly sealed. Fang Chen, equally aghast, discovered his spiritual power rendered inert, his only solace being that his void current thunder force remained unaffected. Meanwhile, high in the sky, Venerable King's nascent soul trembled with terror the instant the roar reached him, and more than half of his formidable spiritual power congealed. He cast his gaze downwards, instantly beholding the titan that had ripped apart an entire mountain. His aged face was instantaneously replaced by profound shock, as he cried out in absolute dread, an ancient giant. Even after a millennium, ancient giants remained an indelible nightmare for future generations. Fortunately, they were merely active within a dark chapter of history, nothing more than a nightmare. Yet, to witness a living ancient giant with one's own eyes caused even a nascent soul realm cultivator's Tao heart to shatter, inducing such absolute horror that the spirit skiff itself lost control, plummeting rapidly from the high heavens. Fortunately, Venerable King reacted in time, using the few remaining spiritual powers he could muster to stabilize the spirit skiff. At this moment, the ancient giant ceased its prolonged roar, and everyone's power gradually recovered. Venerable King's countenance shifted dramatically, and he decisively activated the spirit skiff to make a swift escape. The golden, clawed iron wolf, trembling uncontrollably, scrambled to its feet and bolted in a frantic sprint. An ancient giant, resurrected into the mortal realm. Disaster had descended, and the darkness chronicled in ancient history had now become a grim reality. Consort Yunxia's beautiful eyes contracted sharply, her heart gripped by an ineffable terror. She seized Fang Chen, and the dazed Chun-Nai leaped onto the golden, clawed iron wolf and turned her head to gaze at the ancient giant. Grumble, the ancient giant's colossal eye swiveled, fixing its gaze upon them. With that single glance, Consort Yunxia instantly felt as if she were plunging into an abyss, a profound sense of suffocation engulfing her, plunging her into boundless dread. After the ancient giant swept its gaze over them, it shifted its gaze, locking onto the spirit skiff in the sky. More precisely, it locked onto the maiden aboard the spirit skiff. The one who had stolen the giant egg was an individual skilled in the 6 heavenly thunder parts, shadow in the clouds. And that very maiden had just demonstrated its use. Consort Yunxia immediately gasped for breath, as if she had been pulled from the depths of drowning. Her entire body was drenched in cold sweat, soaking her gown, which clung tightly to her form, accentuating her exquisite figure. Her full bosom rose and fell dramatically, a clear sign of her profound inner terror. Fang Chen, however, remained relatively composed, having already encountered such a formidable being once before. He kicked the golden, clawed iron wolf, which was trembling with fear, its limbs weak, and roared, "Useless creature! To fail at such a crucial moment. When we return, I shall stew you." The golden, clawed iron wolf then shakily clambered to its feet, daring not to glance behind it as it sprinted madly. As a demonic beast, it could sense the horror of the entity behind them with far greater intensity. In its perception, not even a demon emperor exuded such an aura of immense malevolence. For now, they had narrowly escaped calamity. Venerable King, however, was in dire straits, having realized he was now the target of the ancient giant's relentless gaze. Venerable King's nascent soul quivered violently, his face betraying both panic and perplexity. What is happening? They are clearly closer and moving slower. So why has it fixated upon us? At this moment, the ancient giant raised its bludgeon high into the air. Venerable King's heart pounded wildly, a profound sense of peril engulfing him. This cannot stand. I must divert its attention. Venerable King's gaze shifted, falling upon Fang Chen and his companions, who were fleeing in another direction. A fierce glint flashed in his eyes as he unhesitatingly steered his spirit skiff to converge with their trajectory. Noticing this scene, Consort Yunxia's countenance dramatically changed. Disregarding the fact that the other party was a nascent soul realm cultivator, she furiously rebuked him. "Venerable King, you dare attempt to redirect the ancient giant's attention towards them." And he had succeeded. The ancient giant slowly turned its massive frame, hoisting a spiked mace high toward the heavens. His scheme successful, Perfected One King hurriedly altered his course. Yet, caught utterly off guard, he watched as the ancient giant shifted its aim in tandem with them, and brought the spiked mace crashing down with primal fury. King was struck with horror. How can this be? Why does it refuse to let us go? However, there was no longer any time for contemplation. That world-shaking strike had already descended. Across thousands of zhang of sky, the very atmosphere was rent with a flickering fissure. In an instant, the spirit boat exploded, and the 3 souls aboard were sent hurtling through the air by the force of the blast. Perfected One King fared better than the others, feeling only the metallic tang of blood rising in his throat. But Lu Liang and the young girl were battered until blood flowed from their 7 orifices. Their auras withered, and they fell into a deathly stupor on the spot. Even without inspection, it was clear that their internal organs had been ground into a bloody pulp by the shockwave. "It is far weaker than I imagined," Perfected One King thought, feeling immensely fortunate. In the records of history, an ancient giant was a being that could shatter the soul and grind the Tao body of an early-stage nascent soul cultivator into mincemeat with a single blow. That he was merely wounded was likely due to the vast distance that still separated them. Had it been at close range, Perfected One King dared not imagine what his grim fate would have been. He hurriedly seized his 2 falling disciples, treading upon the void as he fled through the sky. Roar, the ancient giant unleashed another resonant, long-reaching howl. King's spiritual power faltered for a moment, nearly causing him to plummet from the heavens. His strength failed him, and his grip on Lu Liang loosened, allowing the disciple to fall toward the earth. Just as Perfected One King reached out to reclaim him, a long tongue lashed out like a bolt of lightning. His heart hammered violently against his ribs. History recorded many nascent soul experts whose very souls were impaled by that fearsome tongue. Even if one were lucky enough to protect their nascent soul, the tongue would ensnare the body, dragging them back to be devoured alive as a morsel by the ancient giant. Daring not to spare another thought for Lu Liang, he turned and fled with all his might. The ancient giant pursued him with a thunderous, howling momentum. Though Fang Chen and his companions were not in the direct path of the spiked mace, they were still caught in the devastating wake of the attack. A primal force capable of tearing through space swept toward them like a tidal wave. The complexions of Consort Yunxia and Demon King Cunning shifted drastically. They were far closer to the impact than King's party had been. "Truly, even if we do not die, we shall lose half our lives to this." Cunning, Consort Yunxia, cried out in urgency. Understanding her intent instantly, Cunning summoned an ancient tree, its myriad thick roots extending to form a fortress that shielded them at the center. Consort Yunxia unfurled her 9 tails, unleashing the majestic aura of the nascent soul realm. Her tails formed a lotus-like shield, protecting Cunning, Fang Chen, and the golden, clawed iron wolf. Within? Boom, crack, the terrifying impact arrived in the blink of an eye. The sound of roots shattering was incessant, followed immediately by the 9 foxtails enduring an unprecedented shock. Consort Yunxia could no longer suppress her agonizing screams of pain. Blood flowed from her tails like crimson rivulets. Seeing her on the verge of collapse, Fang Chen shouted, "Give me the 5 magnetic metam mountain." "Consort," Yunxia gasped, "what do you intend to do?" Fang Chen replied, "The 5 magnetic divine light can suppress all forces. This is our final recourse, or we shall all perish." After a moment's hesitation, Consort Yunxia ground her teeth and cried, "Cunning." Demon King Chunning's face was ashen, for the destruction of her roots had caused her grievous harm. With great effort, she manipulated her roots to deliver the 5 magnetic metamountain. Consort Yunxia suddenly shrieked as one of her tails was violently obliterated by the force. Fang Chen hesitated no longer. He decisively formed hand seals and struck the 5 magnetic metamountain, invoking 5 magnetic divine light. A 5-colored barrier immediately enveloped a 3-ang radius around them. At that very moment, the 9 foxtails could no longer endure and were destroyed one after another. Boom, the horrific aftershock of destruction arrived, but as it surged into the 5-colored barrier, it was instantly suppressed. Fully 90% of the destructive power was quelled before it could strike. Yet the final 10% still swept through the group with great force. Though Fang Chen was encased in crystal and had crushed the copper coin, a defensive treasure of the 9th layer of core formation, the aftershock shattered them both in succession. He was not like Consort Yunxia or Cunning, who possessed the powerful, perfected physiques of 9th layer core formation demons. The remaining aftershock was poised to claim his life. "Hide behind me." Consort Yunxia, perceiving Fang Chen's dire straits, struggled to raise her few remaining severed tails, seeking to provide him with one final vestige of protection. Fang Chen cast a profound gaze upon her and said, "There is no need. Protect yourself." He immediately channeled the meager threads of lightning power he had managed to recover, manifesting the shadow in the clouds to flicker into the distance, narrowly escaping the area. The cataclysmic shockwave then utterly engulfed both her and Demon King Cunning. The two of them struggled against the force for a fleeting moment, but were ultimately struck by grievous injuries. PFFD one after the other, they coughed up fresh blood and fell into a deathly stupor. Only after the residual tremors had subsided did Fang Chen unhurriedly make his return. Beholding the terrifying canyon, 1,000 zhang in length, his heart trembled violently. Fortune favors us. We were but on the periphery of that strike. Had we been any closer, even 10 layers of 5 magnetic divine light could not have neutralized such annihilative power. Master Six Paths also bore the look of one who had narrowly cheated death. That you still draw breath is nothing short of a miracle. Though this primordial giant is wounded and its movements are hindered, its combat prowess remains at the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. Against the residual might of its single blow, there is no reason for you golden core realm cultivators to have survived. Fang Chen felt a secret shiver of dread. Wounded yet still possessing the might of the mid-stage nascent soul realm. Just how formidable was this primordial giant during its peak? He glanced at the unconscious Consort Yunxia and Demon King Cunning. Drawing his violet sword, he pressed its tip against Consort Yunxia's heart. They had been entangled for so long, it was time for a final reckoning. A moment of silence ensued. Ultimately, he could not bring himself to strike. He found he could not bear the loss. Master Six Paths gave a wicked chuckle. Such a breathtaking woman of the demon race, even in the outer realms, she would be considered a peerless treasure who wouldn't be moved. That fellow Lu Liang, his eyes never once strayed from her. Fang Chen ignored him entirely. Gazing down at Consort Yunxia, he spoke tonelessly. Since you attempted to save me at the final moment, I shall grant you your life. Let there be no more grievances between us. He sheathed his blade. He leaned down, searching within Consort Yunxia's robes, until he produced the nascent soul jade talisman. Both the 5 magnetic primordial mountain and the nascent soul jade talisman had returned to his possession. He then released the dragon, binding lock. He lifted his gaze toward the mountain that had been cleft in twain, a glint flashing in his eyes. Executing a movement technique, he sped toward the site. The 4 grand halls that once stood at the mountain's base had completely collapsed. Rubble and dust filled his vision. Not a trace remained of the secret realm's former majesty. To Fang Chen's delight, the misty spiritual Kai that had gathered here over the eons had not fully dissipated, still drifting through the air. A single day of cultivation here is worth a month in the outside world. What if he supplemented this with the Wuji spiritual root? Fang Chen immediately sat upon a boulder, assuming a cross-legged posture. He began to absorb the dense spiritual Kai surrounding him, devouring it like a leviathan. Master Six Paths' mouth twitched slightly. You actually dare to return here? Are you not afraid the primordial giant will suddenly return to slaughter you? Fang Chen shook his head. It will not return. First, this place has been exposed. It can no longer serve as a sanctuary. Second, that colossal egg is its lifeblood. It will undoubtedly hunt Master King, to the ends of the earth. I suspect that as a powerhouse of the nascent soul realm, Master King, he will not perish so easily. Master Six Paths pondered this for a moment. He gave a slight nod. You brat, you are more calculating than anyone I know. Fang Chen spoke no further. He closed his eyes and entered a state of tranquil cultivation. After an indeterminate passage of time, within her unconscious state, Consort Yunxia suddenly felt a damp sensation upon her face, and jolted awake in an instant. That which greeted her vision was none other than Lu Liang. What are you doing? Rising with extreme vigilance, she recoiled several paces. Immediately, a searing agony radiated from her arms and ribs. The residual shockwaves from the prior confrontation had shattered the bones throughout her body multiple times, leaving her with grievous wounds. Fear not. Lu Liang shook the damp cloth in his hand, his voice gentle. Had I harbored any malice, I would have struck while you were vulnerable. I was merely cleansing your face. A lingering trepidation filled Consort Yunxia's heart to think she had actually fallen unconscious. Casting her gaze upon Cunning, she saw that she too was severely wounded and insensible. Fortunately, this man named Lu Liang seemed to possess a shred of righteousness. and had not taken advantage of her defenseless state. I offer my thanks, young Master Lu. Despite her words, Consort Yunxia struggled to retreat further, maintaining a cautious distance. Witnessing this, Lu Liang spoke with a hint of disappointment. Yunxia, say no more? Consort Yunxia surmised what he intended to say. Even his manner of address felt improper. The words that followed would surely be naught but empty professions of affection. Before her union with the demon emperor, many great demons had uttered such things. Young Master Lu, I am a consort of the demon emperor, a woman already wed. Though I hail from the demon race and lack the tedious formalities of your humankind, I still understand the virtue of fidelity to one's husband. I ask that you cease these troubling words and actions. She chose to speak with blunt clarity. Lu Liang gave a wry smile. Very well. I simply have no desire to force others against their will. Since Consort Yunxia has spoken thus, then I shall take my leave. Shaking his head, he rose and departed with a disappointed air. Consort Yunxia's tensed heart gradually found ease. The trace of nascent soul aura she had secretly gathered slowly dissipated. Had Lu Liang dared to commit any foul act, she would not have minded purging the sect on behalf of Master King. Fortuitously, it seemed she had underestimated Lu Liang's character. Being a disciple of a renowned righteous sect, he was not as despicable as she had imagined. Suddenly she rubbed her temples as a faint wave of vertigo washed over her. Simultaneously, her limbs grew weak and limp, leaving her without even the strength to remain seated. Is this the result of my injuries? Consort Yunxia wondered in confusion. She shook her head, attempting to regain some semblance of clarity. Yet the dizziness only intensified, and her body grew increasingly feeble and powerless. At last, unable to persevere, she collapsed onto the ground. A sinister laugh, accompanied by a long sigh of relief, drifted through the air. At last it takes effect. I have waited with such painstaking patience. It was none other than the departed Lu Liang. Unbeknownst to all, he had returned. With a sinister grin, he shook the towel in his hand. Yunxia, how does the taste of my tendon, relaxing powder suit you? Only then did Consort Yunxia realize that the towel Lu Liang used to wipe her face was laced with a spiritual elixir designed to dissipate one's cultivation. You are shameless. She cried out in anger, yet deprived of her strength. Her voice turned soft and weak. Instead of a rebuke, it sounded more like a coquettish plea. A dry heat flared within Lu Liang's belly as he listened. He approached with a beaming, predatory smile. After all, you are a powerful expert of the demon race at the peak of the 9th level of the Golden Core Realm. One who has even faced the heavenly tribulation. How would I dare touch you lightly? If you were to strike me upon waking, my meager life would be forfeit. Therefore, I had no choice but to treat you to some tendon, relaxing powder. Consort Yunxia was overcome with 10,000 layers of shame and fury. Secretly circulating her energy, she attempted to force out the medicinal potency of the tendon, relaxing powder. Lu Liang reached Consort Yunxia and leaned down toward her. His eyes burned with heat as they scanned her exquisite form. The tendon relaxing powder works wonders on anyone below the nascent soul realm. It has never failed me. No woman has ever escaped my grasp. And you shall be no different. Consort Yunxia gritted her teeth slightly and spat, shameless. Involuntarily, the silhouette of Fang Chen emerged within her mind. Both had acted wantonly toward her, yet compared to the malevolent Lu Liang before her, Fang Chen seemed a veritable paragon of virtue. Lu Liang cared nothing for her curses. His gaze wantonly and greedily feasted upon her ample curves. Flickers of fire ignited within his pupils. A true masterpiece indeed. It has been far too long since I encountered such quality. If I were to train you into a love slave for my constant pleasure, I cannot imagine the ecstasy I can endure no longer. He swallowed hard, reaching out his hand. He gently grasped the silken sash at her waist and began to pull it slowly. Consort Yunxia tried to stop him, but she lacked even the strength to raise her arm. In her shame and rage, she cried, "The demon emperor will never forgive you." Lu Liang's hand did not halt. His eyes were filled with uncontrollable excitement. The demon emperor he would have to know first. In this place, you could scream until your throat breaks, and no one would ever know. Moreover, what if the demon emperor did know? Would he dare run wild here in the Myriad Tribulations sacred palace? Just serve me obediently. Think of nothing else. With a rustle, the silken sash was torn away, and the snow-white gown enveloping her peerless figure loosened, revealing jade-like shoulders that shimmered with a pale radiance. Unable to restrain himself any longer, Lu Liang grabbed her collar with both hands, and as he pulled them apart to behold that supreme scenery, a burst of nascent soul aura suddenly erupted from Consort Yunxia's heart. Lu Liang was caught off guard, his chest blasted by this surge of energy. Instantly, a deep crater was crushed into his chest. He spewed a mist of blood and stumbled backward, a mask of pure agony appearing upon his face. Peering beneath his robes, he saw that the inner soft armor he wore year-round had actually been shattered. This was a top-grade defensive magical artifact capable of withstanding a blow from the peak of the 9th level of the Golden Core realm. It had protected him countless times, yet now it was reduced to ruins. Blood seeped from the corner of Consort Yunxia's mouth as she said coldly, "Does this service please you now?" In a moment of dire crisis, she attempted to take her own life by biting her tongue. However, sensing the mortal peril, the Demon Emperor's secret technique within her heart surged into effect. Simultaneously, this surge of nascent soul aura forcibly dispersed the effects of the sinew, soothing powder within her body. She rose to her feet as the demonic essence within her reconverged. The aura of the peak 9th level of the Golden Core realm surged relentlessly, a murderous intent swirling within her eyes. Now it was Lu Liang's turn to succumb to panic. Though Consort Yunxia was gravely wounded, Lu Liang himself was in no better state. "Consort Yunxia, what do you intend to do?" "I am a member of the Hall of 10,000 Tribulations. My master, the Venerable Blue Crane, is nearby. I advise you to remain calm." Consort Yunxia narrowed her beautiful eyes and spoke with chilling indifference. "To echo your own words, that would require your master to actually know of this. You could scream until your throat gives out, and yet no soul shall ever know. Now perish." She struck with decisive ruthlessness. Yet, at that very moment, Lu Liang had already retreated stealthily to Chun Ni's side. With a flick of his toe, he kicked her up and seized her by the throat. A dagger appeared in his hand, its cold edge pressed firmly against Chun Ni's neck. "If you wish for her death, then make your move." Consort Yunxia's expression shifted violently. Chun Ni was one of her few precious friends within the demon race. She was instantly paralyzed by the threat to her ally. In a low, heavy voice, she declared, "Release her, and I may yet grant you your life. If so much as a single hair on her head is harmed, I shall tear your body into 10,000 pieces." Lu Liang was greatly surprised to see how much she cared for Chun Ni. His eyes darted about as a plan formed. A wicked smirk crept onto his face. "Have you perhaps misunderstood the situation? It is I who am threatening you. Do you want this girl to live? Strip off your clothes." Consort Yunxia's eyes turned ice cold. "You court death." But the moment she moved, Lu Liang mercilessly sliced off one of Chun Ni's fingers. Even in her deep unconsciousness, the searing agony caused Chun Ni's features to contort in pain, yet she remained unable to wake. "Stop!" Consort Yunxia cried out in shock and fury. She dared not make another reckless move. "Remove your gown. I give you 3 breaths of time. For every breath you delay, I shall sever another finger until all 10 are gone." Consort Yunxia gritted her teeth. "You absolute scum of humanity." 3. With a rustling sound, Consort Yunxia untied her silk sash. "All right, fellow Dao Seekers, did you just witness that 500 IQ multi-dimensional chess Fang Chen was playing? My mind is shattered. First, Master Six Paths, the grand old demon, flexing about his foolproof possession plan, dropping monologues like he's the final boss, only to find Fang Chen's soul is basically a nascent mini-universe. He thought he had a cheat code, but Fang Chen had the entire source code. And that soul crystal defense. Fang Chen just pulled out the soul, suppressing Buddhist beads like it was a party trick. Chef's kiss. Then Lu Liang, the righteous disciple, trying to pull a classic tendon, relaxing powder move on Consort Yunxia. Bro, that's peak cringe. You're a nascent soul disciple, and your master just called you a simp. And Yunxia, even after everything, still had that demon emperor trump card. You love to see it. But Fang Chen, oh Fang Chen. From the fake key to the dragon, binding lock, to hiding the ancient giant egg with shadow in the clouds, then reshackling himself to fool Azure Crane, and immediately sitting down to cultivate amidst the chaos. This man is built different. He just clowned 2 senior cultivators, and 1 ancient evil spirit. What a legend. The author was cooking with this chapter. What level of terrifying growth are we even witnessing?